Well, the Major League Baseball season has passed, but there's still an awful lot of great baseball to be played. Some of the best and brightest minor leaguers showcase their skills right here in Arizona. Chances are the names you hear today are the names you'll hear at the big league level very soon. It's the 2012 Arizona Fall League Rising Stars game, and it's next on MLB Network. The Arizona Fall League celebrates its 20th year, and we've got a great ball game coming your way here tonight on MLB Network. It's the 2012 Arizona Fall League Rising Stars game. Some of the best and brightest in minor league baseball are all here at Salt River Fields at Talking Stick in Scottsdale, Arizona. And boy, oh boy, are we excited to bring it to you. Take a look at what exactly the Arizona Fall League is. It was created by Major League Baseball in 1992 to serve as a finishing school, a graduate school of sorts for some of the top prospects. Roland Heeman, known as the architect of the Fall League. 6 teams make up the AFL, and Steve Cobb has been the executive director here since 1993. Some of the rules, in case you're not familiar with the Fall League: roster size, 35 players per team, 15 pitchers are eligible on a game day. The DH is used in every single game, and no game will go longer than 11 innings. That's the Robinson rule, and each team will provide 7 players from its system. And with that, we welcome you inside the broadcast booth, Paul Severino and Tom Verducci. Tom, I was out here last year. We did 3 games on MLB Network. My first face-to-face experience with this stuff, and it is exciting.
It's exciting. There's a saying in the Fall League that every game is an all-star game. Well, this is the all-star game of all-star games. And talking about future major leaguers, you do not have to wait long to see these guys in the big leagues. Last 3 years, an average of 23 players from this game played in the big leagues the very next year.
Yeah, last year was star-studded, no doubt about it. Bryce Harper and Mike Trout took part in this game. And maybe they didn't tear it up here last year on that particular night, but you look at 2012, the Major League season, both in the mix for Rookie of the Year, and some people think Mike Trout could be the MVP.
Yeah, I think it's asking a little much to see 2 players like this make an impact in the big leagues so quickly from the AFL Rising Stars game. But I think we have an issue here of quantity. Maybe not the top 2 stars along the lines of Harper and Trout, but plenty of guys you're going to see in the big leagues next year here tonight. Yeah,
talking to Steve Cobb before the game, he said maybe not the same star power, but boy, is it balanced. And a couple of guys that will certainly showcase as this thing goes along. Prospects that are ranked #1 in their organization, according to MLB.com's Jonathan Mayo. This is not a bad list at all. Gary Brown with the Giants, Nick Castellanos, Caleb Cowart, Billy Hamilton, Hak-Ju Lee with the Rays, Reimer Liriano, terrific stud. He's with the San Diego Padres, Anthony Rendon, John Singleton, and Kristen Yelich. But if we want to focus on a couple of these guys, it starts with Billy Hamilton.
It definitely does. True impact player because of his speed. Puts pressure on an entire defense, starting with the pitcher, pressure to throw strikes, infielders, pressure to get rid of the ball, and outfielders, pressure to get rid of the ball. He's a guy who can score from second base on sacrifice flies. He's been known to score on bouncers back to the mound. Yes, that's true. And he's also known for 2-strike bunts for base hit. Just a very exciting player, a game changer when it comes to speed.
And talking to both managers, they both mentioned his name as far as potential game changers. On the other side, Nick Castellanos, might be familiar with him. He was the MVP of the Futures game in Kansas City over the summer.
Well, Billy Hamilton is your lightning. Castellanos is your thunder. He's a guy who hit .320 across 2 levels, finished in Double-A. And let's remember, he's just 20 years old. There's 4 players in this game who are that young, and Castellanos, I believe, has the highest ceiling. Now, the Tigers like to push prospects. Now, they have moved him to the outfield to make his road to Detroit a little quicker. A natural third baseman, adjusted well to the outfield.
And Hamilton, Castellanos, really just the tip of the iceberg. We've got an awful lot to cover. We've got lineups and first pitch coming up next. It's the Rising Stars game on MLB Network. Stay put. We're back after this. And welcome back. Let's take a look at tonight's pitching matchup for the Arizona Fall League Rising Stars game. Kyle Gibson, the number 16 prospect in the Twins organization, will go against Jared Cozart, the Astros' #4 prospect. He, of course, drafted by the Philadelphia Phillies, but came over in a trade for Hunter Pence. A lot of these guys have kind of moved around a bit, parts of different trades along the line. We'll touch on all of those as the night goes along, and those rankings come from MLB.com's Jonathan Mayo, who will join us a little bit later on. Again, it's Paul Severino with Tom Verducci here in the booth, and as we continue to get set for the Arizona Fall League Rising Stars game, we take a look at tonight's starting lineup presented by the Scottsdale Convention and Visitors Bureau. For the West, Billy Hamilton leads off as the center fielder. Then it's Hak-Ju Lee, Reimer Liriano, Hunter Morris, the cleanup hitter. He'll play first. Nick Franklin, who was here last year in the Fall League in the All-Star Rising Stars game, he was terrific then too. Third baseman is Cody Ashe. Bryce Brentz is the DH. Tommy Joseph is behind the plate, and Brian Fletcher is the left fielder. And of course, they'll face Jared Cozart. As you take a look at his minor league statistics, 6-7 with a .330 ERA and 114 2/3 innings pitched, and not a lot of home runs allowed.
No, big time arm. At peak velocity is upper 90s. Not sure if you'll see that tonight this deep into the baseball season. He's also got a power curveball and a firm mid-80s changeup. Some people think that he may be a closer down the road, but that's only because you look at his frame, not exactly built like a workhorse 200-inning starter. But believe me, his pitch arsenal profiles as a front of the rotation starting pitcher.
And so far in the Arizona Fall League, 0-2 with a .736 ERA and 4 starts, but sometimes those numbers can be skewed just a little bit as far as the wins and losses go, because pitchers don't typically work deep into ball games here. They've already had a pretty hefty workload of innings, but boy, oh boy, that guy right there, Billy Hamilton, is a name that's been on the tip of a lot of people's tongue all season long. And even us at the network, and we typically try to focus on the 30 major league teams, we heard a lot about Hamilton early on. Speed demon for sure, and the #1 prospect in the Reds organization.
155 stolen bases, professional record, just a remarkable year. But he's more than just a slash and run type of hitter. We've seen him hit balls out of the ballpark, hits from both sides of the plate. And again, I'll emphasize, as a pitcher, you know you can't walk him or else it's a double. And that puts tremendous pressure on the pitcher to throw strikes.
So he's going to lead things off. It's going to be Cozart against Hamilton, just moments away from the first pitch here in Scottsdale, Arizona. And believe me, as the night goes on, we'll take a look at some of the beauty shots from this ballpark. Salt River Field's a talking stick, by far one of the best facilities. I'm talking Major League too, in all of baseball. First pitch is a little bit low for a ball, and the count now 1-0. And the thing with Hamilton, and the thing with a lot of speedsters, they always say, yeah, but you can't steal first. Hamilton hits it anywhere, and he's on.
He hits it anywhere. He's got good plate discipline, high on base percentage guy. As you see the way the defense plays him, they really have to shorten up on the corners and even the middle of the infield, cheat in a little bit, but especially on the corners. And he's been known with 2 strikes even to drop a bunt.
So 3 pitches and none have found the strike zone. The count now 3-0 to Billy Hamilton, and that's again exactly what you don't want to do, is give him first base. Here comes the 3-0. That's in there for a called strike, and it's 3-1. Cozart, 38th round pick by the Phillies in 2008, but was traded to the Astros in the Hunter Pence deal in 2011. 3-1 in there for a strike, and now the count is full. There's 3 players here in 2 different trades, but that have been dealt for Hunter Pence. Of course, a member of the world champion San Francisco Giants, as Hamilton steals first. And I think everybody, honestly, kind of a little fist pump to themselves, saying, all right, now we get to see Billy Hamilton's speed. And it seems as though with 155 stolen bases, he's running almost every time.
Well, it's just remarkable. Again, as a pitcher, you don't like to start with a negative, and the negative thought is don't walk him. And pitchers fall in the trap of walking him.
That'll bring up Hak-Ju Lee from the Rays organization. First pitch outside for a ball as Hamilton stays put at first. Hak-Ju Lee, .261 average, 29 extra base hits, 37 RBIs, and 37 steals. So the top of this lineup certainly has some speed here tonight.
You'll watch Hamilton at first base. He's not like Ricky Henderson, who would get his lead and just kind of sit there in his crouch. Hamilton likes to keep his feet moving. He likes to time the pitcher and get kind of any sort of little movement going to the bag.
He's off. Pitch is up and away. Throw down to second is not in time. Hamilton has a steal. And that was a good throw by the catcher, Austin Romine, behind the plate.
Austin Romine did a great job getting rid of that ball and put it right on point. Thought he had him there at second base. But once again, as a pitcher, it's your job. You know the scouting report on Billy Hamilton. You need to stop his feet at first base.
Be a 2-0 pitch to Hak-Ju Lee with Hamilton off a second. And that one's up and away. 3-0. Here's another look.
You see, he's never got his feet set as a pitcher. It's not so much pickoffs in terms of defending steals. It's how long you hold the ball. And Billy Hamilton's a guy where you need to hold the ball.
Swing and a miss. Count now 3-1. And the thing that you touched on at the beginning of the telecast, those are true stories. I checked with Billy Hamilton. He did, in fact, score from third base on a sacrifice fly to the second baseman. The infield was in, so the second baseman had to go back. And he did score from second base on a little tapper back to the mound.
Well, he's got the two qualities that premier base runners really need to have, and that obviously is pure speed. The other is just fearlessness, and that's what Billy Hamilton has.
Payoff pitch to Hak-Ju Lee, swing and a miss, strike 3, so there's one away here in the top half of the first inning. Again, set the minor league single season record with steals this season with 155. Whether or not those translate to the major league level, again, pitchers will vary their times, hold the ball, whatever the case may be. He's still going to be a pretty good base stealer.
An impact base stealer. I mean, scouts will grade players 20 through 80, 80 being the high. He's an 80 runner.
Reimer Liriano steps in with one away and Hamilton on second base. Fastball's in there for a called strike, and it's 0-1. And Hamilton hits off to third. So 2 stolen bases for him. That makes, he had 6 in 12 Arizona Fall League games coming into this one, and he's already got 2 in his first trip around the bases.
He changes the game. You see the defense relax here, heads go down, balls tossed back to the mound from a crouch. Can't do it.
I relaxed too. The delayed steal fooled me.
Don't blink.
It's the first inning. I've already messed up once. I'm sure there'll be more. So here comes the 0-1 pitch now to Reimer Liriano from the Padres organization. The infield is in, and that one's fouled back.
Yeah, you can see this game's played a little bit differently. You saw Lee take a hack at 3-0. You see Hamilton on a toss back to the pitcher, stealing third base. You see the infield in the first inning. And mostly, I think you'll see pitchers challenge hitters. You see Cozart gotten behind a couple of hitters, but you'll see them, for the most part, just kind of ignore scouting reports and go with your best stuff on them.
Again, the 0-2 from Cozart. This one is fouled off down the right field line. Count remains 0-2.
That's the kind of pitch I'm talking about. An 0-2 fastball, a challenge fastball 0-2. Really got on Liriano.
Now, we may only see Cozart for an inning or 2. Of course, the starting pitchers, there's only 2 on either roster. So this is going to be an all-star game for sure as far as all the pitching changes. We'll see a lot of different arms come into this ball game. So we'll talk more about Cozart as the second inning goes along. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball is outside. Count now 1-2. Scouting report on Reimer Liriano. He's the #1 prospect in the Padres organization. Athletic outfielder, solid tools, and we were standing behind the cage watching him take batting practice, and certainly impressive. 1-2 pitch just misses. 2-2.
Yeah, I think in terms of a pure package of tools, Liriano's right up there with anybody on the field. We saw him hit some bombs, and you look at his body, and you don't realize he moves very, very well. He's a plus runner.
Hamilton off at third. He walked, stole second, stole third. Fouled off. Count remains 2-2. Liriano signed as a free agent in 2007, and he was the Midwest League MVP in 2011. Cozart's 2-2. Just misses outside, and the count goes full again. So he's thrown a lot of pitches in this first inning. And with the Houston Astros, obviously a team in transition. They'll have a new manager in 2012 in Bo Porter. They'll have a new league and obviously a new division, the American League West in 2013. 3-2 pitch, hit in the air, line drive, back is Dickerson, and it's over his head. It'll one off the wall. Hamilton will score easily from third, of course, and in the second with an RBI double is Reimer Liriano. The West takes a 1-0 lead.
Really have to be impressed with the approach by Liriano in that at bat. Once it got to 2 strikes, he was thinking about hitting the ball the other way if anything was outside, and Cozart did stay away from him. In this last pitch, he gets up, and Liriano, with that let the ball get deep approach with 2 strikes, takes advantage. Not just puts barrel on it, but really hammered it the other way.
So Dickerson having to track that one down, but not before Liriano hustles into second base with the first hit of the ball game, and that brings up Hunter Morris, who takes a strike. Morris, as you can see, a member of the Milwaukee Brewers organization, played at Double-A this year, a .303 hitter with 28 home runs and 113 RBIs. Good enough to be the MVP of the Southern League this year. That one's outside, 1-1. So again, getting back to Cozart. Actually, I've got a good story on Hunter Morris. I'll save it for a little bit later on in the show here, a little later on in the game. But getting back to Cozart and the Astros, you wonder if he's going to have a spot perhaps in that rotation in 2013.
Well,
1-1. It's going to stay in the ballpark, and a nice play at third by Caleb Cowart goes into the first row, and Liriano, tagging from second, is going to come around and score the second run. So a great effort by Cowart, but the result, you almost wonder if he'd be better off if he let it go.
Yeah, it's a live ball. Great job by Liriano. Heads up play, tagging up on the foul ball. Never stopped running. Nice play by Cowart here. Never took his eyes off the ball. Boy, did he pay for it.
He got a face full of first row. Made the catch.
Watch Liriano here. He knows that's a live ball. I think he's doing his Billy Hamilton impression right there. Scoring from second on a pop fly to third base.
And now
not a routine one.
No, not at all. And now the manager for the East squad, you recognize him, Matt Williams, part of Kirk Gibson's coaching staff on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Happy to be out here managing in the Arizona Fall League, getting some experience when and if his day should ever come as a big league manager. Having a chat with third base umpire Sean Barber. So after the, I guess, sacrifice fly, that'll bring up Nick Franklin with 2 outs here in the top of the first. That one's outside, 1-0.
Yeah, and talking about the Astros, you mentioned the new manager, Bo Porter. He came out here and he met with Cozart, Jonathan Singleton, George Springer, all players who were here, some other Astros prospects in the Arizona Fall League, and took him out to dinner. I'm sure he picked up the tab, by the way. And told them, listen, guys, you're the future of this team. We're counting on you, and I think that future is not too far away.
See Franklin's stats, .278 hitter this year in the minor leagues, and again, he was here last year at the Arizona Fall League Rising Stars game, had 4 hits and a home run. As we take a look at his scouting report, he's a switch hitter, but a little more power from the left side, and he exhibited that last year, again with the long ball in this something of a showcase game for these kids here at the Fall League. Able to check his swing, and once again Cowart has 3 balls on a hitter. So it's at 4 or 5 deep into this ball game. He's throwing a lot of pitches. The 3-1 pitch sounded like a broken bat. Back to Cowart and over to first for the end of the inning. But 2 runs come across on Jared Cozart. And it's a 2-0 lead for the West. The East coming back. Welcome back. Tonight's starting lineup is presented by the Scottsdale Convention and Visitors Bureau. The East All-Star starting lineup looks like this. Brian Goodwin leads things off. He's the left fielder. Then it's Gary Brown in center. John Singleton's at first. Nick Castellanos is the DH. He'll clean things up. Caleb Cowart, who made that great play into the seats in the top half of the inning, he'll of course be at third. Austin Romine behind the plate. Corey Dickerson's in right. David Adams is at second. And Chris Owings is the shortstop for the East squad. They'll face Kyle Gibson, who's 0-2 with a 4.13 ERA, just 28 1/3 innings so far this season, but that's because he's working his way back from Tommy John surgery, which he had in 2011.
And that was about 14 months ago, so he's good to go. He's got the velocity back, mid-90s. He's got a plus slider, has the changeup. What I like about Gibson, he uses every inch of that 6', 6" frame. By that I mean he creates angles with his fastball, drives the fastball down. You'll see a lot of ground balls, a lot of fastballs low in the zone from Gibson.
It'll be Brian Goodwin leading things off for the East squad, down 2-0 here in the bottom half of the first inning. Squares to bunt but takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Goodwin, a member of the Washington Nationals organization, and of course one of the things we'll talk about as the night goes on here is how these guys kind of shake out. Where are they going to fit in the major league system? You see his numbers in the minor leagues in 2012, 280 with 14 home runs, 52 RBIs, and 18 steals. At a couple levels of the minor leagues, he takes a ball and it's 2-1. This one's hit in the air, right field. Going back is Liriano, looking up, and that ball is gone. Brian Goodwin connects on a leadoff home run, and after 2 runs come across in the top half of the inning, the East cuts the deficit in half. It's now 2-1.
Well, he just showed you one big reason why they like this guy. Not so much big time power, but how quick he gets the bat to the baseball. Real short stroke. He definitely did that on this inside fastball here. Turn it around.
That did not take long at all. And that's going to bring up Gary Brown, the center fielder tonight, member of the Giants organization. Takes inside for a ball, 1-0. Let's take another look.
Watch how quick he gets to this ball. Just drops the bat head on it. And I think he knew it was gone. Nice short stroke.
Bat flip gave it away. Low and away. The count now 2-0. Gary Brown's the #1 prospect in the Giants organization, according to Jonathan Mayo of MLB.com, who of course will join us a little bit later on in this ball game. Watch out in the dugout. 279 with 41 extra base hits, 73 runs and 33 steals at AA Richmond this year for Gary Brown. And we've already seen some speed from Billy Hamilton in the top half of the inning, so everything else is pretty much relative to that. Gibson off the mound, a good throw to first, and there's one away in the bottom of the inning. So we just saw Gibson throw over to first to Hunter Morris, and we'll take a look at the rest of tonight's defense presented by the Scottsdale Convention and Visitors Bureau. Show you that in just a moment as John Singleton steps in. Another one of those guys traded for Hunter Pence. Pretty good numbers at AA Corpus Christi, 284 with 21 homers and 79 RBIs. Breaking ball in there for a called strike, 0-1. Hit on the ground, couple of hops. Franklin over to first for out number 2. Take a look at that defense now. Fletcher, Hamilton, Liriano left to right in the outfield. Ashley's at third. Lee is at short. You just saw Franklin throw to Morris second and first, and Tommy Joseph is behind the plate catching Gibson. So here's Nick Castellanos, the DH tonight. As we mentioned before, the MVP of the Futures game in Kansas City earlier this summer. Swings through that one, 0-1.
Yeah, that's that slider. Again, the downward tilt, the angle that he creates, pretty much over the top.
Line drive over the leap of Franklin and into right center field. So it's a base knock for Castellanos. You saw his average up at around 320 in the minor league season. One of those guys who Tigers trying to find a spot for him. Pretty sure they have a good third baseman already.
Yeah, that third baseman might be there a while, so pretty smart to transition him to the outfield, which he's done this year, and you got a taste right there of what just a real pure hitter he is. Gibson tried to double up with that slider, and Castellanos, with a really advanced approach, takes it the other way. A lot of people think he's got potential batting champion written over him. That's down the road, obviously, but a lot of talent.
Caleb Cowart stepping at the dish. That one's in the dirt. Count 1-0. So Cowart trying to take a look, looking none the worse for the wear after kind of taking row one right to the cheek in the top half of the inning. Terrific effort reaching over the railing to make the catch. And Reimer Liriano scoring on what was ruled a fielder's choice. So no RBI in the top half of the inning, but the run scores anyway. This one on a couple of hops to second base. Franklin goes the short way to second, and that'll do it for the East squad in the bottom half of the first. But they score a run on Brian Goodwin's leadoff home run after one inning at Salt River Fields. It's 2-1 West. Welcome back. Tonight's defense presented by the Scottsdale Convention and Visitors Bureau. Goodwin, Brown, Dickerson going left to right on the outfield for the East. Cowart, Owings, Adams, and Singleton third to first. Austin Romine behind the plate, and Cozart, who threw 28 first inning pitches, is back out there for the top of the second, where Cody Ashe will lead things off, and he takes ball one. Ashe, a member of the Philadelphia Phillies organization, playing third base tonight for the West. Right back to the mound, Cozart. Over to first for out number one.
Of course, Cozart originally drafted by the Phillies, the 38th round. Now that sounds like they found a gem late in the round, but actually a lot of people didn't think he was going to sign. He was committed to Missouri, and really he was at an American Legion tournament right up until the deadline, and his father was actually negotiating with the Phillies during the game and got his son signed for almost $500,000, a little more than that, an hour before the deadline.
It's a good deal.
Not bad. Well, Jared had told his dad anything more than $100,000 and he was ready to go pro. Nice job by Dad.
Well done. There's your Christmas present too. Bryce Brentz takes a strike, and it's quickly 0-2 to the designated hitter. Member of the Red Sox organization, 23 years old, 6 foot 190, 36th overall in 2010. Playing in Surprise out here in the Arizona Fall League. This one's fouled back. Count stays 0-2. He's the number 4 prospect in the Red Sox organization, according to Jonathan Mayo from MLB.com. 290, 17 homers, and 76 RBIs while playing at 2 levels of the minor leagues. The 0-2 pitch from Cozart. Yanks that one into the dirt, and it's 1-2.
He was a closer in high school, obviously a really strong arm, and the Indians drafted him as a pitcher. He said, no thanks, I want to hit. Went to Middle Tennessee State to do both pitching and hitting, and developed into a top power prospect for the Red Sox.
It was actually their compensation pick when Jason Bay left for the New York Mets back in 2010. Two from Cozart is low, and the count goes full again. So again, 28 pitches in the first inning, and already a full count here with 1 out in the top of the second, as Matt Williams looks on from the dugout. That one's outside for ball 4, and Brentz will take the free pass. Chase Anderson is warming up in the pen for the East. He'll be the second one to come in this game, the other starter on this East roster. As we mentioned before, both rosters basically have 2 starting pitchers and the rest are relievers. Both managers are going to try to get everybody in this ball game, all the position players, all the relief pitchers, and still try to save somebody just in case this thing goes extra innings. It won't go any more than 11. We know that. Tommy Joseph steps in with Brentz on first after the walk. And he takes the ball.
I think the next thing you're going to tell me is that he was traded for Hunter Pence.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. a trio of players.
Everybody else has.
Yeah, I was actually. It wasn't highly publicized. Not sure why. So if the one word, we'll leave that alone. If the one word that comes to mind about Billy Hamilton is speed, the one word that comes to mind with Tommy Joseph is leadership. As he swings through that one, the count now 2-1.
Yeah, very impressive guy, especially for a catcher drafted out of high school. Just, we were talking to Dusty Wathan saying that players gravitate toward him. Natural born leader. He thinks those skills are nothing that you can learn, but you're born with them.
Off the end of the bat, couple of hops. Adams with the tag, throw to first, and the double play ends the inning. So Joseph grounds into the DP, and Cozart works out of the second. 2-1 as we go to the home half of the second inning. This offseason, get ready for TV's first and only baseball morning show, Hot Stove. Join Harold Reynolds and Matt Vasgersian for all the trade rumors and free agent buzz. Watch Hot Stove weekday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern, premiering November 12th only on MLB Network. We welcome you back to Salt River Fields at Talking Stick here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Paul Severino and Tom Verducci along, as we've already seen 3 runs scored, both of them in the first inning. 2 by the West in the top half, and the East coming back with a Brian Goodwin home run to make it a 2-1 ball game. So the home half of the second inning begins with Austin Romine, catcher in the Yankees organization, followed by Corey Dickerson and David Adams. They'll face Kyle Gibson, who's back out for his second inning of work. Romine 273, 3 RBIs, 9 runs scored so far here in the Arizona Fall League. And this one hit wide of third. 1-1. Now the New York Yankees, seems like for a few years they've been touting a handful of prospects. Jesus Montero, Austin Romine, and they've got a few other catchers there. Gary Sanchez as well. A few pitchers, Betances and Banuelos. So the Yankee fans have heard this guy's name, and Romine hits it in the air, left center field. Going back is Hamilton, and it's off the wall. Romine is into second and still motoring around second. He's going to head to third with a sliding triple to lead off the bottom half of the second inning. So Billy Hamilton's got speed, we know that, but that one hit off the wall, and center field's not his natural position, still adjusting to it, but this one was hit a ton.
Yeah, he got a fastball middle, and just really overpowered that baseball. You saw there on that swing, just a little bit of a toe tap, not much of a leg kick. Here's a guy who used to have a much bigger leg kick. Kevin Long of the Yankees helped really tone down that leg kick there. And the Arizona Fall League is perfect for a guy like Romine because he's really had some bad luck with injuries the last couple of years. Played only 31 games this year. So he's getting the reps now, playing catch-up now for the at-bats he didn't get this season.
Corey Dickerson steps in with a man out third. That one's going to go to the backstop, and Romine coming home is in there safely to tie things up at 2. So Gibson gives up the leadoff home run in the bottom half of the first inning, the leadoff triple, and then the wild pitch scores the run to even things up.
Watch Gibson here just yank this fastball inside, just held on to it a little too long. Talking to Romine, I talked to him about going to spring training, he said, next year with an opportunity to make the club. Yankees still don't know about the future of Russell Martin, whether he'll be back. You mentioned Gary Sanchez. He's probably the top catching prospect. But Romine told me he's going to go to spring training with the idea that there's a job to be won. Has to think that way.
Here comes the 1-1 to Dickerson. That one's up and away, and the count now 2-1.
Talked about the little toe tap here, getting rid of the high leg kick. Watch his front foot here. Just taps it and leaves it there and keeps his hand set. Allows him to really take away a lot of the timing mechanisms you need as a guy with a high leg kick. You have to be on time all the time. This way, take out a lot of that excess motion, keep the hands back. Nice, simple approach, and obviously you can still hit the ball a very long way.
I'm sure he likes the power display there, but he also likes that one in the triple column as a catcher.
We'll be talking about that one tonight.
There aren't many of those.
Did you see how fast I was?
That's right. Solid catch and throw skills plus arm strength. We saw him try to throw out Billy Hamilton in the top half of the first inning. It was a pretty good throw right on the bag, but Hamilton with such good speed was able to beat it out. Wake up in the third base dugout. That one's fouled off.
You know, he had a chance to be the backup catcher this year. Went to spring training, and really that job was there, and that's when his back went out. The Yankees had to go out and get Chris Stewart, make the trade for Chris Stewart. They like him a lot. There's no question about his defense.
And his father Kevin actually played Major League Baseball. His brother Andrew has played a little bit in the major leagues as well, member of the Angels organization, as Dickerson takes a walk. So a triple and a wild pitch lead to the run, and now a walk as a man on and nobody out for David Adams, the second baseman, also a member of the Yankees organization. 86 games at Double-A Trenton, 306 average, 31 extra base hits, and 48 RBIs. And just going over some scouting reports and looking at the rosters, I'm thinking to myself, David Adams, where have I heard that name before? Well, he was almost part of the deal that could have brought Cliff Lee to the Yankees a couple of years ago.
Very close to a deal, and Adams was in that deal until they found out that what the Yankees thought was a high ankle sprain in May of that year turned out to be, and they found this out a month or two later, actually a broken bone in the ankle.
Cliff Lee then ended up with the Texas Rangers. Now, of course, with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Well, there's no question about his bat. He can flat out rake. He reminds me a little bit of Michael Young, guy who can spray the ball gap to gap, just has hit on every level. Experience at third base and second base.
Dickerson off of first, and they'll check on him. He's back. So we were talking about Kyle Gibson in the, actually before we went on the air, 16th rated prospect in the Twins organization. You kind of mentioned if he's number 16.
If he's 16, I got the Twins in the World Series next year.
This one on a hop to Morris, and then the throw to second, and he's safe, as it would have been a tag play at second base. But a nice job by Hunter Morris over at first to pick that one up, pick it out of the dirt, and get the out at first. But now moving to second is Dickerson.
Nice hands over there by Morris, known for his power. I think a third base is the hot corner, but it gets on top of you just as quickly when you're holding a runner on at first base. But yeah, I think that 16 ranking on Gibson, that's a product of Tommy John surgery, obviously. Got himself behind, but has worked very hard. As I said, his velocity is back. He actually said it seems to be coming with less effort now. We've heard this story a lot. Guys come back from Tommy John surgery and sometimes throw harder.
Chris Owings got a pretty big hand, member of the Diamondbacks organization. Salt River Fields at Talking Stick is the spring home of the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Colorado Rockies. And what a facility this is, just being able to walk through both of the buildings before as we're talking with the managers. State of the art, top of the line, you name it. Impressive, top to bottom here. Owings is swinging a miss, and the count now 0-2. Now, Tom, you've been to every minor league, not minor league, spring facility. I can't imagine many are better than this.
There's none better, I don't think. I think they have to kick the guys kicking and screaming to leave when it's time to go to start the major league season. Especially for a team like Arizona, plays its home games here, obviously. The players can train here year round.
Owings is the number 5 prospect in the Arizona Diamondbacks system. Supplemental pick back in 2009. And he'll see an 0-2 from Gibson. 94 miles an hour but nowhere near the strike zone. The count now 1-2.
Yeah, getting back to Gibson, just to tell you how hard it is to be a general manager or scouting director. That year when they drafted Gibson, their first 4 picks they used on college pitchers. That's only back in 2009. He's the only one left in the organization. 1 traded, 2 released, and he's coming back from Tommy John surgery. You're talking about college pitchers, not high school pitchers, who generally are more of a project.
Dickerson back at second base after the walk. How does he compare? Because I think some people, myself included, look at the Minnesota Twins and their rotation, and since Johan Santana left, they might not have, they have a number 1 because every team has a number 1, but maybe they don't have an ace. As he gets Owings swinging and missing, and over to third on the ball in the dirt is Dickerson. So a man on third and 2 out. So how does he kind of compare to what they've seen the last 3 or 4 years?
Well, I think you can see on that last pitch why they're so excited about him. He does have swing and miss stuff. The guy in the minor leagues has averaged over 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. It's terrific for a starting pitcher. Think about this, Paul. The last time the Twins had a right-handed pitcher, you see this last slider just dive outside of the strike zone. The last time the Twins had a right-handed pitcher strike out 175 batters in a season was Bert Blyleven. Going back to 1987.
Wow.
It's an organization that has developed touch and feel guys, strike throwers. Except for Santana, of course, left-handed, they really have not had pitchers, starting pitchers, many of them anyway, with strikeout ability. And certainly I think Gibson has that potential.
And the strikeout of Owings was his first of the night, and that will bring up Brian Goodwin, who homered back in the first inning. And here comes the 1-0 pitch. Creeps back over the inside part of the plate, evens up the count at 1-1. Goodwin was the player of the week just this past week here, batting .529 with 2 doubles, a home run, 2 ribbies, 6 runs scored, and he had himself 2 triples. And obviously the home run here tonight got the scoring started in the bottom half of the first. We're now even up at 2. Should be the final inning of work for Gibson, as we're thinking that both starting pitchers will go their 2 innings and then hand it over to the bullpen. Goodwin, as you saw, the number 3 prospect in the national system, according to Jonathan Mayo from MLB.com. That one's fouled off. And they say never start a story with 2 outs. I'll do it one better with 2 strikes. It's tough for a guy like Goodwin now that there's these rumors out there that maybe the Nationals are favorites to land B.J. Upton. It's a crowded outfield already.
They've been connected to Michael Bourne as well. I think it's a tough decision for Washington, because if you think he is your future center fielder, maybe a year from now, you can live with Bryce Harper there for another year.
Good job cleaning that thing up.
On the other hand,
so there's more. Good.
On the other hand, it's tough to resist when center fielders come on the market like an Upton, like a Michael Bourne. They've been connected to both of those guys in trade rumors the last couple of years. An opportunity to go get them. All it takes is money, and lots of it. But Goodwin's the kind of player who'll make you think twice about spending that kind of money on a free agent.
Dickerson off a third, about a third of the way down the line, but that's where he'll stay as the inning is over after the strikeout. So 2 strikeouts back to back. Owings and then Goodwin end the second inning. Coming back for the top of the third next. The rules of the game should always be questioned, and weeknights on Clubhouse Confidential, Brian Kenny does just that. Think baseball. Watch Clubhouse Confidential, returning Monday at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on MLB Network. Welcome back to Salt River Fields at Talking Stick, and welcome inside the broadcast booth as well. Paul Severino and Tom Verducci, joined now by Jonathan Mayo from MLB.com. Thank you very much for taking some time to join us. I know that you've been out here for the last few days and following these guys all season long.
It's great, and this is like taking candy here. It's like Halloween all over again, just for me. Like the Futures game, all on one field, this much talent. It's just it's a lot of fun. The Fall League in general has such a great amount of talent on any given day, and this is kind of the all-star game within an all-star league for prospects.
Yeah, it's been an awful lot of fun. Again, we were out here last year with this game on MLB Network, and certainly a pleasure it was. There is a pitching change. Chase Anderson is on the mound as he takes over for Jared Cozart. 5-4 with a 2.86 ERA at AA Mobile. 104 innings pitched and a whip of 1.12. A member of the, I guess you can call it, hometown Arizona Diamondbacks. It is their ballpark after all. Leading things off is Brian Fletcher, member of the Royals organization. He'll get his first at bat of the night. Leading off the top of the third, followed by Billy Hamilton and Hak-Ju Lee.
Jonathan, we've heard a lot about the young Arizona pitchers. You talk about Trevor Bauer, who we saw in the major leagues this year, and Archie Bradley and Tyler Skaggs, but haven't heard much about this guy. I know injuries have been part of his resume, but where does he rank among the Arizona young pitchers?
Well, he's a little bit lower down, but I think it's more just because he said his injuries. He missed almost all the 2011 season with an elbow injury, and depending on how you want to look at it, it's either good news or bad news because he didn't need surgery. So it's good because he's pitching, but I think you always worry, well, is he going to need that surgery eventually? But he doesn't have quite the ceiling of a Bauer or Skaggs, who kind of profiles the top of the rotation type, but he throws strikes, he keeps the ball down, and considering this was kind of a bounce back, just stay healthy year, he had a very successful year in Mobile this season.
Of course, he'll relieve Jared Cozart. 2 innings, a hit, 2 runs scored. They were both earned, a couple of walks and a strikeout, and one of those walks was to this guy, Billy Hamilton, who after the free pass stole second, stole third, and eventually came home to score on the Reimer Liriano double.
Delayed steal, you don't see that too often at this level.
No, I hate to throw myself under the bus again, but he fooled me too. And I mean, it doesn't take much, but he was still impressive nonetheless.
How about coming as advertised? First at bat, walk, stolen base, delayed steal of third, scores a run.
Especially considering every single human being in this ballpark watching this game knew that he was going when he was on first. You know, so it's not like there was any question. And Austin Romine could not have had a better pitch to handle. Put the throw right there, he still beat it.
0-2 pitch. Misses low, and the count now 1-2.
Now, obviously, his road to the major leagues now is through center field, and you talk about the Reds with a need certainly at the top of the lineup, but if Drew Stubbs doesn't continue to improve at the top of the lineup and center field, how's that transition going for Hamilton, a former infielder? Let's go back to the first inning here. And I said you need to throw him strikes, and Cozart didn't do that. He runs right away, and here's the delayed steal. Third base without a throw, and then scores on the double by Liriano. Jonathan, in terms of his ability to play center field, how's that transition working out for him?
So far, so good. And I talked to a scout about a week ago, and he was, he's got another week under his belt, and that speed allows him to outrun any mistakes he makes. And he's at that point where he's still going to get some bad reads, and then he just outruns it. But he's getting better each day, and he's such a tremendous athlete. Even if he looks at a called strike 3 now and again, that most people think he is going to be just fine. He's got a good amount of arm strength, having been a shortstop with a decent arm at short. So I think, I don't know if he's ever going to be a Gold Glover, but he's going to be fine in center field, and probably is not going to take him that much longer to be ready to roam out there at the big league level.
So with 2 outs now, it's Hak-Ju Lee, who struck out in his first at bat back in the first inning. 21 years old, 6'2", 170 pounds. Swings through it, and it's 1-1.
And I say that, you never know. I mean, if you had told me Adam Jones would go from shortstop to center field and win a Gold Glove, I don't know that I would have necessarily believed that. So a few years, we may be talking about Billy Hamilton as a Gold Glove caliber center fielder.
And how about Hak-Ju Lee here? Part of the trade back in 2011 that sent Matt Garza to the Chicago Cubs. He's the Rays' #1 prospect. Everyday shortstop? Eventually, sooner rather than later.
I think so. And I think defensively he probably could play there now. He's dynamic defensively. He's got all the actions you want from a shortstop, and he does have some hitting ability, although he had an up and down season in 2012.
And 2 strikeouts so far in this one, so we're through 2.5, and the score is 2-2. And welcome back as we take a look at the top 25 prospects in the Arizona Fall League. According to MLB.com's Jonathan Mayo, Castellanos, Hamilton, Yelich, Baez, and Singleton. Baez not playing in this game tonight. He's got a thumb injury. He was replaced on the roster. But as Jonathan Mayo joins us up here in the booth, I'm Paul Severino with Tom Verducci. Jonathan, there is an awful lot of talent. We talked at length about Billy Hamilton in the top half of the inning. Christian Yelich is a guy, too, that has gotten a lot of pub, too. #1 prospect with the Marlins.
Yeah, he's always been one of my favorites, and I tend to gravitate towards guys who just hit. And I remember coming out of high school, he was such an advanced hitter for a high school prospect, but he's got some speed, and just from a year ago to now, he's filled out a lot more, and I think he's going to come into even more power. And there's been all sorts of comps with him, from Von Hayes to Andy Van Slyke to maybe even a Sean Green if the power continues to come. And those are pretty good comparisons.
Gary Brown will lead things off for the East squad in the bottom half of the first inning, and he'll face a new pitcher. It's James Paxton, a member of the Seattle Mariners organization. 9-4, 3.05 ERA, 110 strikeouts to 54 walks, and he drops the breaking ball in there. It's quickly 0-2.
Yeah, the Mariners like this guy. It's rare to see a left-hander who can bring it up there mid-90s. He's got a little extra on that fastball too because of deception. Watch his glove as it goes up in the air. It's something that he just does naturally in his delivery. It reminds me a little bit of Andy Pettitte, where the glove goes up in the air and the baseball is going to come out from behind the glove after the glove disappears. It can really confuse the hitter a little bit and just add that little extra to the fastball. 94, 95 can come in at 96, 97 because the pitch is, you can't pick it up easily out of his hand.
So Andy Pettitte with a plus fastball. That's pretty. That doesn't seem fair.
Well, you know, Jonathan, the Mariners are sitting on some really high-end pitching.
They are. I mean, I think the only question with Paxton, you got Danny Hultzen also, and Taijuan Walker, and they all were in the same rotation. A little time is whether or not this guy here is a starter long term, just because of some command issues, and the third pitch hasn't come quite as quickly. But whenever you have a guy who throws that hard and can maintain that velocity, you're going to leave him in a rotation for as long as you can. And I think that's probably why they haven't shortened him up. Otherwise, he probably could pitch in the big leagues now if you put him in a relief role.
John Singleton steps in and takes a called strike. Singleton, as we mentioned before, originally with the Philadelphia Phillies, 21 years old, 6'2", 235, big body. That one's in the dirt. And originally was a first baseman, still is. We'll obviously work our way around that, but was a first baseman, had some comps to Ryan Howard, of course, being in the Phillies organization, and Ryan Howard, a pretty good ball player in his own right, making some money. They decided to move him to left field, the opposite side of the field, and then once he was traded over, back to first, where I talked to him before the game, said he's happy to be back. He's played first his whole life.
He wasn't a terrible outfielder, by the way. It wasn't one of those you put him out there. And I remember when Ryan Howard played in the Fall League, and they sent him out to the outfield because Jim Tomei was the first baseman. And that experiment ended after about 3 days. They wanted to make sure no one got hurt. It just was not. It was not pretty. You know, Singleton was a little more athletic than Howard was even then, and I think he probably would have been okay if they needed to keep him out there. But obviously, once he got traded, there wasn't that roadblock, so he could go back to his more natural position.
It's a good at bat right here, and this is the kind of at bat the Astros organization really wants to see out of Singleton. If there's one question early on, it's typical of a young hitter, is hitting left-handed hitter against left-handed pitching. Hit only 3 home runs this year, 232 against lefties. I think his approach will serve him well. It's just a matter of time. See him go the other way. Nice approach right there.
Finds a hole on the left side for the base hit, his first of the night, so he's 1 for 2. And with the Houston Astros, again, we mentioned before, so much transition, new manager for next season, new league. How does their farm system shape up? Because in years past, it's been among the worst.
Yeah, it is much better, and some of that is because of the trades that they made, bringing a guy like Singleton and Cozart in, and some of the other trades that they've made since, and some of that has been via the draft. You know, Bobby Heck is no longer with them, but he does deserve a lot of credit for being the guy leading their drafts over the last few years, and they've brought in some talent. and they took some chances with guys like Delino DeShields, who were not going to be quick to the big leagues. And he's a guy who had a very good bounce back year this year, and you're going to hear a lot from him in the future. So they've added some elite, top prospect kind of talent, but they've added a lot of depth in that system, really from top to bottom, where they're going to be able to funnel players up to Houston for a long time.
And you mentioned the future, the MVP of the Futures game, Nick Castellanos, takes the ball in the dirt, and the count now 2-1. And Castellanos singled in his first at bat, but was stranded in the first inning. 20 years old, 6'4", 210, member of the Tigers organization, and again, one of those guys who's working on a different position now as 2012 winds down. It's obviously been a long season for a lot of these guys, but this one in between third and short for his second hit. He's 2 for 2, and Singleton moves up into scoring position, so 2 on and 1 out now for Caleb Cowart. How's Castellanos' transition going to a new position?
So far, so good. I mean, it's funny. He was a shortstop in high school. He moved to third, fairly quickly. I think that was his better position. And then he moved him to the outfield, mostly because I think they want to find room for that bat as soon as it's ready. And I don't think it's going to be far from ready because he just hits. The only question is, how much power is he going to grow into? And he's got the kind of frame where I think he's gonna add some strength as he gets older. And he made some nice adjustments in Double-A after struggling, finished strongly, and is trying to finish off here while playing left field. They moved him to the outfield second half of the season. He played right, so now he's moving to the other corner just so he can be ready for whatever opportunities there might be as early as next year in Detroit.
Caleb Cowart with a couple of men aboard here in the bottom half of the third inning. As Paxton gets the sign, comes set, and delivers the 1-0. Upstairs, 2-0. So Caleb Cowart grounding into a fielder's choice to end the top half of the first inning, made a terrific play leaning over the railing down the third base line in the top half of the first. But Reimer Liriano, who doubled, came in to score on what was ruled a fielder's choice to score the second run of the inning. Tom, I know you got a chance to talk with Caleb before the game.
Yeah, I did. I talked to him about his decision as a high school, just a superstar player out of the Atlanta area who could have pitched or hit for any college or certainly as a pro. He threw 97 on the mound as a high school pitcher. He said he just couldn't stand the idea of not playing 4 out of 5 games. He says, I need to play every day, and I love to hit. And he really has had a nice year where, Jonathan, it seems like he's really worked up the chart in terms of the Angels prospects.
Yeah, and he's a terrific athlete. He's not one of these guys who's a third baseman now, and he's going to have to move eventually. He's a switch hitter. He's got power. Anytime a guy gets promoted when he hits full season ball, especially at his age, is a good sign. So there is a lot of upside for him, and there were probably a lot of teams that probably would have taken him a little bit higher if he was willing to pitch, just because of that arm strength. And he was fairly clear that he preferred to hit coming out, and the Angels were a team that were willing to let him do it, and it's looking like a good decision so far.
And hopefully all his dental work is intact after that effort into the first row.
Yeah, you just saw that again a moment ago, and obviously we're not in his head. We're not sure if he just wasn't sure that the runner was going all the way from second who would eventually score, or if he was just a little bit shaken up. But again, looking none the worse for the wear. He's on first as the bases are now loaded for Austin Romine, who tripled off the wall in, well, just to the left of center field in the bottom half of the second inning.
I'm sure Jerry DePota was thrilled you showed that replay again, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure he wanted to see it again. And it's interesting here seeing a Yankee catcher and a Mariner pitcher on the mound. And I guess, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but you automatically start to think of the Michael Pineda, Jesus Montero deal and how it's not really worked out so far for the Yankees. But the Mariners have to be pleased with the extra power they've got in their lineup in Montero, just completing his rookie season. For Romine, we talked about it a little bit before.
Right.
Major league ready. Perhaps sounded like last year could have been.
Yeah, he was close, and I heard Tom talking about some of the freakish injuries that he just couldn't seem to shake and stay healthy long enough just to put the finishing touches. And defensively, I think he was ready. And the question has always been, will he hit enough to be an everyday catcher? And it was interesting because I think if they could have somehow combined Montero's bat with Romine's all-around defensive skills, and you have probably an all-star caliber catcher. But you know, I always thought that Romine would hit enough, but he hasn't had enough reps. So I think it'll be very interesting to see, one, if he even is given an opportunity in New York in spring training, given the pressures to win there, and two, to see how he responds to it.
Corey Dickerson now steps in. He's yet to have an official at bat. Walked in the second inning. Bases are loaded and 2 outs as Paxton deals a breaking ball up and away. John Singleton is on third after the walk. Nick Castellanos, he's 2 for 2, had another single in his second at bat. He's on second, and Caleb Cowart with a walk to load up the bases. There's Dickerson, 23 years old, 6'3" and 210, member of the Rockies organization. So he will also call this place home hopefully one day, at least in the spring. Swings and misses, and the count now 1-1.
Dickerson seems to be a guy who's grown on the Rockies. You know, what was he, an 8th round pick? And watching him take batting practice today, I know it's only batting practice, but he had natural backspin on the ball. He's got tremendous carry. He doesn't look like a profile as a tremendous home run hitter, but just the way the ball jumps off his bat looks like there's something there.
Yeah, and he does that. So he just has raked at every level, and that's pretty much accurate. You know, they keep challenging, move him up, and he responded this year with a real good year where he's much more on their radar.
Jammed a bit. Paxton fields it himself and flips over to first to work out of the jam. So with the bases loaded, that's how they'll stay. We're 2-2 going to the 4th. Should we measure a defensive player by his glove, his range, or his agility? Yes. Watch an exclusive telecast of the first ever Wilson Defensive Players of the Year Awards tomorrow at 8 Eastern, and watch all of the baseball awards only on MLB Network. Welcome back to Salt River Fields at Talking Stick in Scottsdale, Arizona. Paul Severino and Tom Verducci, joined by MLB.com's Jonathan Mayo, as we get set for the top half of the 4th inning of the Rising Stars game. An all-star game of all-star games as we've built it so far. And coming up here in the top of the 4th, Reimer Liriano, Hunter Morris, and Nick Franklin against Chase Anderson, who's back out there for his 2nd inning of work. Getting a chance to sit and watch Liriano take batting practice. First time I'd seen him in person. He's an impressive talent. No wonder why he's the #1 prospect in the Padres organization.
Yeah, and you know, the Padres have had some success developing good, sort of safe college type hitters who have gone on. I mean, listen, Chase Headley is a heck of a player. They've got Jed Giorgio in their system. He can flat out hit, but they've been that kind of advanced, polished hitter. And there's a reason why the Padres are so excited about Liriano. They've not had a position player with this complete package of tools in quite some time. Plus, he's actually got a more advanced approach at the plate than you often attach to a young player with those kinds of raw tools. So he actually is able to put them into use more regularly, and he did that especially this year well.
Did it earlier with an RBI double to score the first run of the ball game, bringing home Billy Hamilton. As you take a look at the scouting report for Liriano, and Tom, we were talking before about how the Padres might be a team that should be on people's radar in the coming years.
I agree. I mean, it probably didn't get enough attention, but certainly the way they played in the second half of the season, I think, is something that can have a carryover effect for next season. I think they're sitting on tremendous talent in that organization. They certainly know pitching.
Chopper over the mound. Nice job by Owings to cut across and make the play for the first out of the inning.
And I'm sure Liriano would like to hear the news about new dimensions at Petco Park. Bring them in a little bit. Yeah. Still will be a pitcher's park, but a little bit more fair.
They've got enough talent at the upper levels that they can afford to let him take his time, and so when they call him up, he's ready rather than having to rush him up there. I mean, he made it to Double-A this year. I think he could probably use another year, but because of some of the talent at the top of the system, they probably would be fine without him for a little bit.
Brings up Hunter Morris, who takes ball 1, and he was the guy that popped up that fielder's choice before in the top half of the first inning. Caleb Cowart, a nice play into the first row, and eventually Reimer Liriano scored on that pop out, that foul out. 1-0 to Morris. Swing and a miss, 1-1.
Now you've left me hanging for 3 innings.
Yes.
For your Hunter Morris story.
And boy, is it a doozy. Now you might think that the fact that his name is Hunter, he's from Huntsville, Alabama, and played for Huntsville in 2012, that would be impressive, right?
Yes.
But it doesn't stop there. As a local favorite, they actually had a bobblehead night, and his son was part of the bobblehead. Deep in the hole, Adams makes the throw, and safe at first is Morris. So yeah, I was talking to him before the game. I said, is this true? I'm reading this. Is this true? He said, yeah. So he said, my son, he's just turned 2, little Trip. And boy, are 2-year-olds a trip, by the way. I've got one at home. That he was just running around the clubhouse one day. They were doing a little photo shoot, whatever. And they decided, hey, let's make a bobblehead. We're going to make a bobblehead of you. So he's got, I guess, the bat over one shoulder and his son Trip on his other shoulder.
So 2-year-old Trip has his own bobblehead, pretty much. He's on a bobblehead
Exactly.
at the age of 2.
Yeah, not
Wow.
bad.
Now that's impressive.
And you thought we were hyping Bryce Harper early.
There's no place to go but down from there.
That's true. Nick Franklin steps to the dish. And
Was that worth waiting for?
Absolutely.
All right.
that's right. He's going to say that. In the break, he'll say, why'd you even bother with that? But at least now on the air, he says it was a good story. So that's good. I've got
I'm jealous. Trip's got his bobblehead.
That's right. So yeah, little Trip just turned 2. So Nick Franklin stepping in is down in the count 0-1. And again, Jonathan, we saw him here last year. He put on quite a show in the Rising Stars game, 4 for 5 with a home run. Part of that young crop of talent with the Seattle Mariners as they look to maybe get into the mix in the coming years in the American League West.
And a lot of that talent's, the upper levels. Paxton was at AA. Holton was in AAA. Mike Zunino, who we'll see later, made it to AA in just his pro debut. Franklin finished the year in AAA. I think the biggest question is, where is he going to play exactly? Because they're moving him over to second, which makes sense. Shortstop, I think, was a little bit of a stretch as an everyday player. But obviously they've got Dustin Ackley. It'll be very curious to see because he had a nice bounce back year this year, Franklin. Last year was just kind of so-so and had a solid year with the bat. Probably enough to be a regular at the big league level, and he doesn't have that much more to prove in the minors other than maybe playing some more second base. So if he comes in and has a huge spring, it'll be interesting to see what the Mariners do on the right side of the infield.
Of course, Ackley only a couple of years into his pro career. Hi, everybody. Paul Severino, Jonathan Mayo, and Tom Verducci up here in the broadcast booth. And again, looking at the way that the American League West is going to shake out, adding the Houston Astros in the next couple of years, you look at the Texas Rangers, who many people think hit on the right side and through for a base knock, and Morris will hold up at second base, so it'll be first and second and 1 out for Cody Ashe. Texas Rangers, a lot of people look at them as maybe the model organization. They spend some money to put together a good major league roster. They've got a terrific minor league system as well.
Yeah, I mean, they have a ton of young talent, and you add Houston's farm system and Seattle's developing farm system. You have some teams who are going to be battling it out for a while, just as they continue to funnel players up. But of course, as any player development guy, I'll tell you, it doesn't matter how good your farm system is until they get to the big leagues and start producing. So you have to see what these guys do once they get there, because there have been teams who have been known for their great farm systems, but then those players don't end up being the players they thought they were going to be once they get to the highest level.
Ashe, who's 0 for 1, swings through that one. 22 years old, 6'1", 180 pounds, a member of the Phillies organization, playing with the Peoria Javelinas out here in the Arizona Fall League.
And Jonathan, a lot of Phillies fans familiar with Ashe, looking ahead to whether he is an answer at the third base position. He's only 22. I don't think his time is coming quickly in terms of solving a need immediately, but long term, there's been some talk about Chase Utley moving there. Where does Cody Ashe fit in as a potential solution at third base for the Phillies?
Yeah, I think he's more in that conversation, after the year that he just had, where he made it up to, to AA in his first full season, and a kind of guy who was a little bit under the radar, but performed very well. He doesn't have the power profile that you normally like to see at third, but you look around the big leagues, how many big league third basemen really fit that profile? So I mean, I think he should have an opportunity, and if not right away, then within, say, a year's time. But I think it's just the question of whether or not it's enough bat to play at that position, and if the power continues to come as he develops.
And as we look at the scouting report, it said that he's got pretty good hits for pretty good average, and such was the case in the Florida State League. He could have challenged for a batting title before he got promoted.
Right, and hitting in the Florida State League is not exactly easy. You know, that is a terrible ballpark. I mean, Clearwater isn't as bad as some of the others, but anybody who puts up decent numbers there, you know, has done a good job. And then he went up to the Eastern League, again, not a great hitters league, and he did really well there. So they definitely think that this is a bat that will get to the big leagues at some point in time.
A swing and a miss for out number 2, and that'll bring up Bryce Brents, as there's some action in the East bullpen, as Chase Anderson working in his second inning of work.
Yeah, meanwhile, I've been really impressed by Chase Anderson. You know, we spend a lot of time talking about velocity, and obviously the gun gets our attention, but boy, he's looked terrific, changing speeds tonight. 3 of his strikeouts all on off-speed pitches. Sometimes behind in the count. We've seen 3-1 curveballs. We've seen changeups behind on the count. And a really nice job changing speeds, throwing different pitches for strikes.
And when you do that, right, the 92 fastball plays up a lot more, so he's been able to sneak that by some hitters as well.
And speaking of good arms, Brents, as you mentioned before, Tom, the Indians wanted him as a pitcher, and he can obviously hit a little bit, but he was rated as the best arm in the Eastern League, best outfield arm in the Eastern League this year. And a swing and a miss makes the count 0-2.
Well, when he was in college, he closed for his college team, you know, while playing the outfield also. Always wanted to see that in the pro game, a guy just coming from the outfield. Remember seeing Houston Street playing for University of Texas, playing third base and warming up in between pitches to be ready to come into the game.
It works in like 18-inning games. Chris Davis, didn't he get a 2-inning win in extra innings earlier this season? Brents is retired. Anderson, a couple of good innings of work, and we move along here at the Rising Stars game in Scottsdale. And welcome back. The Arizona Fall League celebrating his 20th year. Derek Jeter was here in Arizona in 1994. He's gone on to have a pretty good major league career. Sean Casey, our friend at MLB Network, was here in 1997. Put together a pretty decent major league career as well. Mark Teixeira recently inducted into the Arizona Fall League Hall of Fame. So recently, it was last night. Ryan Howard was in Arizona in 2004. So a lot of the names that you'll see here in the Arizona Fall League today will be the stars of tomorrow at the big league level. The top 20 players, again, as the Arizona Fall League celebrates its 20th year, they pick the greatest player from each year. And boy, oh boy, is it a who's who of talent at the big league level. And I know you got a chance to talk to Mark Teixeira last night.
Yeah, I did, and he was honestly genuinely thrilled to be here, and hadn't been in Arizona since, I guess, 07 spring training, because he hasn't had a spring training in Arizona since then. And he was remembering his first fall league game. He had played 1 year in the minors. He was a third baseman back then, not a good one, as he tells it. But he came here, homered from both sides of the plate, and his first 2 at-bats went 5 for 5.
All right.
He was on the Rangers' opening day roster in 2003.
So yeah, this is certainly something of a showcase, as Michael Brady will try to showcase his skills as he comes in relief of James Paxton to start the bottom half of the 4th inning. He'll face David Adams, Chris Owings, and Brian Goodwin here in the home half of the 4th.
You know, we just threw his numbers up there, and I'll tell you the thing that caught my eye, Jonathan, 64 punch outs and 7 walks. The guy's walked only 22 in 145 professional innings. Not bad for a former infielder.
No, not bad at all. And usually, right, command is sometimes you wonder about, and as a guy who's going to be maybe a 7th inning kind of guy, you need a guy who's going to come in and throw strikes and go right after hitters like Brady does.
Adams with the hot shot to third. Ashe makes a nice play to his glove side and over to first for the first out of the inning, and that'll bring up Chris Owings. So we were talking a little bit about what Ashe brings to the table, and you just saw him display the glove for the first out of the inning. Chris Owings struck out in his first at bat. Obviously his first look at Brady. Breaking ball is upstairs in the count 0-1, or 1-0 rather. 21 years old, 5'10", 180 pounds, member of the Diamondbacks organization. So anytime a Diamondback or a Rocky comes up to the plate or takes the mound, they get a nice ovation, and he'll get one here as well as he delivers a base knock into left field, a 1-out single.
To be fair to the Rockies fans, I don't know how many made the trip from Colorado. It's a little bit of a better, easier commute for the D-backs fans.
Good point. Good point.
That's why you brought me into the booth.
You're right to correct me. You should stay up here all game. You'll have an awful lot of work.
The Diamondbacks are rightfully very excited about Owings because he has a chance to be a pretty dynamic shortstop. A guy who actually can stay at short. We saw him. He made a nice play coming in on a ball earlier. He's going to stay there, and he can do some things with the bat. So anytime you have a guy who actually can stay at that position up the middle, there's some reason for excitement, and he had a very solid season this year to give him some hope that he's moving in the right direction.
He looks like he's got some pop in his bat too. I know when he was invited to spring training, Kevin Towers took a look at him and was reminded a little bit of Craig Biggio, where the ball just jumps off the bat. And we talked to Matt Williams, who said, yeah, that's true, but sometimes he can get in trouble a little bit. He's got enough power to get himself in trouble by hitting too many balls in the air, which obviously is going to work against batting average and on-base percentage.
Right, and probably when he was playing in the California League, it worked to his advantage because you could pop the ball up and it's out in a lot of those ballparks. But as he's moved up, we'll see how he adjusts. Unfortunately, then they go to Reno for AAA, where it's going to be a real test for him to stay within his approach.
And the thing is, as we take a look at his scouting report, tools to be the an all-around shortstop in the major leagues. Maybe a couple of years ago, Stephen Drew might have thought that he could be the shortstop of the future, or at least the next few years, as Goodwin sends one high in the air, left center field. Moving back is Hamilton, and he makes the catch. A terrific catch by Billy Hamilton in left center field, retires Goodwin. He gave that one a ride, and Hamilton shows off the wheels to get to it and hauls it in for out number 2.
He's losing all kinds of equipment out there diving for the ball. We talked about fearlessness on the base pass. Check this out. Runs a long way for the ball. This is a guy with not a lot of experience out there. He must know the wall is sneaking up on him. Keeps his eye on it, lays out for it. Terrific play.
And again, maybe it took him a split second longer than some more experienced center fielders to realize how far it was over his head. But then once he got on his horse, he has the kind of speed to make up for that, maybe eighth of a second hesitation in terms of sprinting straight back. And that's something he'll learn, that he can use his speed, put his, turn his back to home plate and, get under that ball in the future.
And he caught it with 2 hands, or came pretty close, as Gary Brown takes inside, and the count now 1-1. Tapped back to the mound and struck out so far tonight. 24 years old, 6'1", 190 pounds, member of the Giants organization. And I was reading that when the Giants were trying to make a deal to pick up a bat last year in 2011, and they ended up dealing with the Mets to get Carlos Beltran. The deal was basically Beltran for Wheeler. The Mets wanted Gary Brown, but the Giants didn't want to part with him. They'd rather part with their top pitching prospects. So I guess, what does that say about how good Gary Brown is?
They have a lot of hope for his future. And he was coming off, that year he was having a tremendous first full season in San Jose, and was doing everything. Was hitting more than I think some people thought. There was some concern about his ability to make contact as a pro.
On the move is Owings. Throw is right on the bag, but in there safely is Owings, and that was a good throw down to second from Tommy Joseph.
He did a nice job on this ball, because this was a difficult pitch to corral and throw. The pitch was moving away from him in the other batter's box. Watch the footwork, gets rid of it quickly. The throw's right there.
Wow.
Nice athletic play.
Nice pick by Joseph, and a nice pick at second base by Nick Franklin as well. Sticks the bat out there and pokes it into right field for a base hit around third, and coming in to score is Owings, and it's a 3-2 lead for the East as Gary Brown delivers the go-ahead run.
And that's the kind of hitter that Gary Brown is going to have to be as he moves up the ladder. And he struggled for the first part of most of the first half moving up to Double-A. He may be another guy who has just enough power to get himself into trouble a little bit and some swing and miss, but he just went with this pitch and slapped it into right field, and then he can use his speed to his advantage, and we'll see if he's on the move as they have a pitching change here.
So that's going to be it for Brady. And Chase Hutchinson will come into this ball game. We're in the bottom half of the fourth inning. The East has a 3-2 lead. We're back after this.
There's more baseball action on tap in November. MLB Network honors America's veterans with a matchup showcasing baseball's future stars. The Arizona Fall League Military Appreciation Game. Live next Saturday at 8 Eastern on MLB Network.
And welcome back to Salt River Fields at Talking Stick here in Scottsdale, Arizona. And inside the broadcast booth, Paul Severino and Tom Verducci, joined by MLB.com's Jonathan Mayo. A good look at the Arizona Fall League Rising Stars game. It's the 3-2 lead for the East right now, and Jonathan Singleton, a big bat in the Astros organization, about set to step in against Chase Hutchinson, the relief pitcher out of the Mets organization.
Playing lefty-lefty matchup here already in the fourth inning.
Yeah, it's funny. We talked to both managers about that, and they said they would not hesitate to start matching up. From here on out, we'll see nothing but relief pitchers. So we talked about Singleton getting a dose of left-handed pitching in the Fall League. Here's another chance.
Singleton with a ground out and a single as a check on the pinch runner, as Gary Brown, who singled in the run, is out of the game. Jock Peterson is the pinch runner at first. You see the numbers on Hutchinson: 8-7, 4.10 ERA at Class A Port St. Lucie. That one just misses, and the count now 2-0.
Clearly a starter during the regular season for the Mets, and either he hit a certain innings limit so they didn't want him to throw that much, or they see a tall, lanky lefty and say he's probably a lefty specialist, and they want him to start working on that transition now.
Well, you can certainly see why his future may be as a lefty specialist with that crossfire delivery of his. That's a tough pickup for a left-handed batter to see that ball. It looks like it's coming at them, moving away from them.
And we know that the game has gotten more specialized in recent years, but even starting at this level, we're seeing it now.
Well, Paul, one of the things that really caught my attention with a lot of pitchers we'll see from here on out, they've been drafted and groomed to pitch the 7th and 8th inning. In other words, they're not getting starts in the minor leagues and then moving to the back half of the bullpen. They're not being taught a third pitch because they don't need one. In some cases, one wipeout pitch is enough to get you to the big league. So for a lot of these guys, it's a very quick road to the major leagues. One pitch, a specialty pitch, match up. The game is a matchup game, especially in the American League from the 6th or 7th inning on. And I think now, they used to say catching is the quickest way to the big leagues. I think a power arm is your quickest road to the major leagues.
That's why you've seen so many college relievers get drafted, early on. They're going to get there sooner rather than later.
Payoff pitch to Singleton is fouled back, and Peterson will retreat to first. Of course, off with the pitch. Will count 2 outs here in the bottom half of the fourth inning. Again, it's a 3-2 lead for the East. The West scored 2 runs in the top half of the first, but single runs in the bottom of the first, second, and so far here in the fourth have put the East on top. I got a good story on Peterson too. Can't wait till he gets in the plate. It doesn't have a bobblehead, but it's still pretty good.
Well, how good could it be if it does not involve a bobblehead?
His siblings' names, a little teaser for when Peterson steps to the dish a little bit later. In fact, in case he doesn't, and at the risk of overselling the story, now that we've got a moment, I might as well just
You're too late.
Say it now. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. So his name is Jock. He's got a brother whose name is Tiger with a Y, and another brother's name who's Champ. They're all their real names. As Singleton takes a walk.
You've left Tom speechless.
I have.
The dad is Stu, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Former big leaguer.
Yes.
It's another good at-bat by Singleton, by the way. It's 2 in a row against lefties. One time he went the other way for a single, and here he waited out the walk against a very tough lefty who throws across his body.
I think it's a great point. I think especially at this age, it's way too early to start typecasting hitters. You say, oh, this guy can't hit left-handers. When you see the approach and the balance that Singleton has, there's no reason why he can't hit left-handers. It's just a matter of time.
Castellanos to the left side and across the diamond. Ashe just in time to get Castellanos and end the inning, but the East scores a run to take the lead as we head to the top half of the 5th inning here in Arizona. We're back after this. And welcome back to Salt River Fields at Talking Stick, the Arizona Fall League Rising Stars game. Paul Severino and Tom Verducci joined in the booth by MLB.com's Jonathan Mayo. And so far, we've seen some pretty good baseball, good pitching, a little bit of offense, certainly some speed from Billy Hamilton, all the things that we signed up for heading into this ball game. So as we head to the top half of the 5th inning, Tommy Joseph will lead things off, followed by Brian Fletcher and then Billy Hamilton. There's Singleton and Cowart. And boy, guys, you look around the diamond here, both sides, there's a lot of guys here, names we may have heard in the past, but a lot of names that we'll certainly hear in the future.
Well, I mean, the Fall League in general has such a tremendous track record. I think 60% of all players from the Fall League go on to play in the big leagues. And this game, you're taking the cream of an already good crop. It's almost 73% since they started playing this game 7 years ago that have gone on to the big leagues. And that doesn't count, last year's game only has a handful. Some of them were really, really good, obviously, but a lot of those guys are going to increase that percentage as time goes on.
Aaron Barrett is the new pitcher for the East. 17 saves and an ERA just north of 2 in 51 2/3 innings at a couple of levels of the minor leagues in 2012. His first pitch to Tommy Joseph is in there for a called strike to lead off the top half of the 5th.
It was interesting talking to Dusty Wathan about especially this time of year for the guys going through their first full season.
Off the glove or forearm of Cowart and into short left field for a base hit.
Ball sharply hit.
I'm calling it a base hit. We'll wait for the official scoring on that.
That's good enough for me. Watch this ball take a hop at the end, just gets over the heel of his glove.
And it looks like they've got an error on the board.
That's a tough error right there.
So it'll be an error for Caleb Cowart, and whatever way you slice it, Tommy Joseph is on to lead off the 5th.
Wathan talked about how it's difficult really to evaluate a lot of these guys. A lot of them are tired. You'll see them look great one day and poor the next day. And I'll go back, Jonathan, to last year when Mike Trout was in this league. A lot of people didn't think much of Mike Trout at this time last year because he was worn out.
He was terrible in the Fall League, but he had played 157 games or something like that before he got here. And rode the shuttle up and down a couple of times, so he had nothing left in the tank once he got here.
Fletcher with a foul ball right back toward us, and the count is 0-2. So just if you're scoring at home, and I know you are, it was a hit for Tommy Joseph to lead off the 5th. And we talked about Joseph's leadership, and when he was traded, he essentially went from one side of the field to the other because he was in the same city with the team that he had got traded to, and just stepped right in to be a leader on that squad. For a 21-year-old, that's, I would imagine, what you want out of your catcher.
Yeah, and especially this is a guy who, when he was drafted at a high school right from here, Horizon High School in Scottsdale, a lot of people didn't think he could catch. He was a big bat with a lot of power who was going to have to move to first base. And the interesting thing is the bat hasn't been quite as powerful as some people thought, but his catching ability is a lot better than people thought. So now people are fairly certain he's going to be able to stick behind the plate. Whether he's an everyday guy, we'll have to wait and see. You saw the plus arm strength. He's always had that. It's a mobility thing. He looked real good on that ball in the dirt, and shows how much work he's put in to turn himself into a decent catcher.
And speaking of work, that'll be it for Barrett, as he is done after getting it out here in the 5th inning. Pitching change. We're back on MLB Network.
If you have the audacity to believe that a financial advisor should look you in the eye when the topic is your money.
If you have the nerve to think that FaceTime should be the expectation, not the exception.
If you believe unreturned calls speak volumes.
Join the nearly 7 million investors who think like you do. FaceTime and ThinkTime make a difference.
Join us. Join us.
Join us.
For For 88 years, it's how Edward Jones has made sense of investing.
Lee knows guys don't wear jeans to get noticed. But when they do get noticed, they don't mind all that much. Guys don't settle for less than the stronger, softer comfort of the new Lee. Lee gets guys. That's why guys get Lee.
The 2013 World Baseball Classic, coming this March, only on MLB Network.
And welcome back. Again, we talked about it last year. Two of the big stars in this game, Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. As you take a look at what they have done, or what they did since their call-up in late April, well, they were pretty good. Mike Trout, 326, is 129 runs and 49 stolen bases led baseball. And Bryce Harper helped the Washington Nationals win the National League East and eventually take the top seed in the National League come playoff time. Paul Severino here with Tom Verducci and Jonathan Mayo from MLB.com, as Tony Zick will take over for the East here in the top half of the fourth inning. And again, you'd be hard pressed to find a game that we had last year with the star power of those two guys.
Yeah, there isn't necessarily a Trout or a Harper here, especially in terms of guys who are going to come up early next year and do that.
Billy Hamilton with the bunt, and it's going to be a hit, and then the ball gets away. So Nick Ahmed, who is pitch running at first, is actually going to come around to score, and Hamilton is going to end up on third. They'll hold him there, but a run will score, and it's a 3-3 ball game. So he drops down a bunt, goes 50 feet, he's on third, and a run scores. Exactly how you draw it up.
I was about to say, except for maybe the guy at the plate, but he didn't really give me the opportunity. This is what Billy Hamilton is all about, especially from the left side of the plate.
Yeah, we talked about the pressure he puts on defense at the top, and that certainly puts pressure on the fielders. They know the clock is running in their heads. The clock when Billy Hamilton is running is shorter than anybody else. And guys, we played 5 innings, and the Billy Hamilton highlight reel, I think it's a box set at this point, a 2 DVD box set.
Well, except that it only takes like 8 seconds.
Right, yeah.
But, this is what he can do to opposing defense. And he's the guy that probably has a chance to have the greatest impact right away at the big league level. And I took a survey of about 40 of the players who are playing in tonight's game. It looks like Austin Romine caught a ball there. I'll give him a second to get a blow. And Billy Hamilton got the most votes, but he was tied with Mike Zunino of the Mariners. And Zunino was the guy who was the #3 overall pick in June, and has a chance now, from what I'm told, to maybe be the Mariners' opening day catcher out of spring training, depending on how things go. But the two of them got the most votes. Christian Yelich of the Marlins got a lot of attention as well, with I think 4 votes. And then a bunch of guys, Nick Castellanos, Jonathan Singleton, got some attention too. But Hamilton.
And Hamilton got almost halfway down the line, if you might have just heard.
Watch this. He's trying to influence a balk right here. That'll get the pitcher's attention. Just looking for the slightest flinch.
Infield is in with Hawk Julie at the plate. That one is tapped foul.
Well, Jonathan, I want to know if you had a vote in this poll.
I stayed out of it. Christian Yelich is, I think I said earlier, is among my favorite prospects, and I think he's going to hit. I mean, Billy Hamilton is going to be incredibly disruptive. I'm curious to see what he does with advanced pitching. He has about a half a year in Double-A. He did adjust well at the end of the season. Whether or not he can hit, whether or not he can hit from the left side of the plate at the big league level, we'll have to see. But he can do so many things with his speed We had a story on our site today that Richard Justice wrote that Walt Jocketty was watching him play. They clocked him at 3.3 to first base, which is, plus speed. Then he stole second, and they clocked him at 2.8, which is not human. And I don't think it was like a quick, someone with a quick finger on the stopwatch. I mean, this just, as long as he continues to make adjustments to pitchers who are going to disrupt timing better than minor league pitchers, then
watch this.
Made himself skinny. And then a ground ball up the middle for Hak-Ju Lee will score Billy Hamilton from third. And it is a 4-3 lead for the West. So after what was scored as a single and an E3 to allow the run to score and Hamilton to go to third, Hamilton comes in to score on the Hak-Ju Lee base knock, and it's 4-3 West.
Did you say he made himself skinny? Because if he makes himself any skinnier, he's going to disappear.
What was he before that?
I know that's the thing that amazes me about Billy Hamilton. 6'1", and I don't know what they list him at. I think 170. I think that's stretching it a little bit. It's amazing that for a guy who's on base all the time, steals 155 bases, here playing in his 7th, 8th month of the season, that motor is still going. There's not much of that body, but boy, he just keeps going.
And he told us that he actually started playing in January with strength and conditioning and everything else. So it's been a really long season for Billy Hamilton with an awful lot of running. 155 steals in the minor league season, and then 2 so far here tonight. So he comes across, and it's a 4-3 lead. And it's Reimer Liriano, who had an RBI double in his first at bat and a ground out in his second at bat. So he's 1 for 2, and the count even 1-1.
Before strength and conditioning, he only weighed 135. So he worked really hard during the winter.
And we talked at length about how impressive Liriano is as he swings through that one, and it is 1-2. And with the depth in the minor league system now with the San Diego Padres, again, the money that they're getting with the new TV deal, we kind of talked about it before, that the San Diego Padres might be a team, I don't know if sneak up on people is the right phrase, but a team to kind of watch out for. And speaking of watch out, Austin Romine's had himself a rough half inning behind the plate. Took a foul ball off the mask a few moments ago, and I think he just got either a foul tip or a bat there too. Another foul tip.
Looks like the foul tip got him on the thumb.
Hit in the air, right field. Coming in is Dickerson, a long run. He won't get there. It falls in. And into second with his second double would be Liriano. And over to third is Hak-Ju Lee. So 2 runners in scoring position with still 1 out here in the top half of the 5th inning. And that's going to bring up Hunter Morris.
Well, I've just been really impressed by Liriano. You saw him at 1-1, really let loose on a fastball up in the zone. He gets the 2-strike count, the second time now with 2 strikes, where he just stayed inside the ball, thinking the other way, really just fights this thing off. But when you have the approach of letting the ball get deep, you can put it in play, and you never know what happens. And then he shows the speed that he has, getting to second base really easily here, just flying between first and second.
That'll bring up Hunter Morris, who had a fielder's choice that led to a run in his first at bat and then a base hit in his second at bat.
And I think it's that approach that has made him a more upper echelon prospect, because the minor leagues have been strewn with guys with unbelievable raw tools whose baseball skills never catch up to those tools. And this year especially, Liriano showed some understanding of the game, that you can hit with 2 strikes and be effective. You can take pitches. Drawing walks isn't a terrible thing, and that's something that the Padres have preached for a while with a lot of their advanced hitters, and he's bought into it, and I think that's going to give him the chance to be a really special player once he gets to the big leagues.
1-1 pitch to Hunter Morris is fouled off the railing of the first base dugout, where the West calls home. Check that, the East squad calls home. And the number 7 prospect in the Brewers organization is Hunter Morris, and obviously it's been a year without Prince Fielder. They tried Matt Gamble for a little while. Brewers got back in the race in the second half of the season. As Morris fouls another one off, is there a chance that he might be up for that first base job come 2013?
I think he could get an opportunity. Obviously had a great year in the Southern League. The Brewers love him. Love him probably more than the scouting industry does overall. You know, he's not a huge bat speed kind of guy, but he's awfully strong. So if the power continues to come because of that strength, great. Then he has a chance, and there's certainly nothing standing in his way. I have a feeling he'll get a nice long look in spring training, and worst case he gets some AAA time. You know, he hasn't played above AA yet, so I think he'll get an opportunity.
And he's up with a couple of runners aboard here and 2 outs in the top half of the 5th inning. And he takes strike 3. 94 miles an hour just under the hands, and that is out number 2. Now it's out number 2. Sorry about that. See, you're up here to correct me, Jonathan Mayo. Let's go.
I fell asleep at the switch.
Well, the scoreboard did have 2 outs up there, and I think that's taking home field advantage a little too far.
Yeah. I was too busy worrying about people from the Brewers bugging me about what I just said about Hunter Mars. You know, but we look at Tony Zych here, and you know, Tom, you were talking about the guys who are groomed, and this is a guy who was a closer in college, drafted as a reliever. And he's not going to close at the big league level, but all he's done has been a relief pitcher for a really long time, and you know, he doesn't generate the kind of buzz that a lot of the elite prospects do. But a good fall league here, you could see him in Chicago's bullpen at some point next year, and that's what you want when you take a guy out of college in that kind of role, even if it's just as a 7th or 8th inning kind of guy.
Yeah, it's a generation of pitchers that really never throws out of the windup. It's very interesting to see. Just, you know, lockdown pitching out of the stretch. What I like about Zych, he's got a really quick arm. You know, again, I think there's a little bit of deception there. I know Kevin Towers here with Arizona is great at building bullpens with different looks. Certainly Zych is one of those guys who gives you a different look with that short arm action that he has.
Count is now 3-0 to Nick Franklin, and Zych is the number 20 prospect in the Cubs organization. And you mentioned a pick out of college. He was their 4th pick, 2011, out of Louisville. They also drafted him in 2008, but decided to go to school instead. Still ended up with the Cubbies. 3-0 to Franklin is in there for a called strike. 3-1.
When I talk about the short arm, just watch the arm swing. It just gets the ball up really quickly. Doesn't really have too much of a long stride. I think the ball can get on top of a hitter quickly.
Franklin hits it in the air. It should stay in the infield. Owings puts it away for out number 3. But 2 runs come across for the West to take a 4-3 lead. Jonathan Mayo from MLB.com. Thank you so much for spending a couple innings with us.
My pleasure, guys. A lot of fun.
All right, 4-3 as we'll go to the bottom half of the 5th. And there's more live baseball on tap in November as MLB Network honors America's veterans with a matchup showcasing baseball's future stars. The Arizona Fall League Military Appreciation Game live next Saturday, 8 Eastern on MLB Network. We'll be in Surprise for the Scorpions and the Saguaros. We, of course, are Paul Severino and Tom Verducci, and we have seen ourselves an awful lot of talent so far at a wonderful facility. They've got a nice berm up in the outfield as Michael Tonkin will come in and take over. See his numbers at a couple of levels of the minor leagues in 2012. 4-1, a 2.08 ERA, 69 in the 3rd innings pitched, 97 strikeouts and 20 walks.
Yeah, big 6'7" guy, mid-90s fastball, a lot of downward action. When he's on, you'll see a lot of ground balls.
And now my nightmare. The defensive changes, Tom. I'll have to mark these off in the scorebook a little bit later.
We got a lot of them.
Yes, we do. Mike Zunino is behind the plate. Nick Ahmed's at short. Almanzar's at 3rd, McGinnis at 1st, Yelich in left, and Wong at 2nd. Yeah, we'll reset that for you as the inning progresses. First, it's Caleb Cowart to lead things off for the East squad, who, after giving up a couple of runs in the top half of the inning, trail this ball game 4-3. That one's outside, even up the count at 1-1. So for Cowart, again, we saw at least his effort. I don't know how much you want to put stock in that tremendous play that he made over the railing down the 3rd baseline in the 1st inning of this ball game. But 3rd base is not a spot that's really blocked by a superstar with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
No, and, you know, he's realistic. I talked to him about his timetable. He'd love to start next year at Double-A. I'm not sure why he would not. I think he's going to come quickly. He really took a leap this year. Very athletic, good range at third base. He doesn't have to get off the position at all. He looks like a really good defensive third baseman. He's got a lot of raw power.
Just misses outside, and the count now 3-1. Second Twins prospect that's been on the mound for the West squad so far tonight. Kyle Gibson got the start.
And whereas Gibson was that, you know, really prototypical first round guy, Tonkin was a 30th round pick back in 08 at a USC. Key for him is throwing that slider for strikes.
Ground ball past the dive of Wong into right field for a base hit. So Cowart is now 1 for 2 on the night with the base knock. And that'll bring up Austin Romine, who's got a triple and a strikeout to his credit so far tonight. And Tonkin, the holiday parties at the house, I'm sure baseball is talked about here and there. His wife is married to Jason Kubel of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I imagine there's some baseball talk at that Thanksgiving table.
Yeah. How can I get you out? You can't. Check down at first, and he did go. The umpires tonight, Chad Whitson. Good job by me in the bottom of the 5th to catch you up on the umpires. You're welcome. Chad Whitson's behind the plate. They just checked with Ben May at first, Chris Siegel's at second, and Sean Barber is at third. As Austin Romine takes one off the hand, and boy, in this inning, this 5th inning, the top half of the inning, he took 2 or 3 foul balls off his body, his face, his hand, and now this one he gets hit somewhere on the left arm or hand.
Yeah, you see he wears that protective pad on the elbow, but it looked like it got him underneath where that pad gives him some protection. That was a pitch he just couldn't get out of the way of, just a ball like kept running in on him as if it was chasing him. Watch this ball just keep following and riding in on him.
Looked like right around the elbow.
Yeah, just underneath that pad perhaps.
But he stays in the ball game.
He's a catcher.
He's a catcher. Of course, he's used to it. Although when and if he gets lifted, of course, it won't be a surprise with Alex Monsalve, the other catcher on the roster. They're going to get everybody in this ball game as best they can. If there's an injury and to the second catcher, they can bring the first catcher back in the ball game. If either team uses all their position players and somebody gets injured, they can re-enter this ball game. Corey Dickerson takes a strike to even the count up at 1-1. Dickerson walked and tapped back to the pitcher in his second at bat. 23 years old, 6'3" and 210 pounds, playing with the Salt River Rafters. The Rafters call Salt River Fields at Talking Stick their home in the Arizona Fall League. And there's subtle differences between the Rockies side of this facility and the Diamondbacks side of this facility. All in all, pretty much the same, but slightly different.
Yeah, you know, the San Diego Padres share one with the Seattle Mariners, and they're almost exactly the same.
Past the dive of Wong for the second time this inning, and in the score is going to be Caleb Cowart as he beats the throw. And another base hit makes it a 4-4 ball game. Throw was a little late, little up the line, so things even up at 4 aside as Hamilton trying to show off that arm. We've seen his speed on the bases. We've seen his range as he adjusts to center field. Now a chance to see the arm as well, but just a tad late.
That's one of those low sinking fastballs we talked about from Tonkin, but Corey Dickinson, we talked about it. All he's done is work his way up that organization, just hit on every level. A guy who played junior college ball, looked like he was heading to Mississippi State. The Rockies talked him out of it with $100,000. Pretty good bargain out of the 8th round.
Up and into David Adams, who's 0 for 2. So Tonkin working himself into a bit of trouble here. The leadoff base hit to Caleb Coward. He's since come around to score. The hit by pitch to Austin Romine. The base hit to Dickerson. And now this one will split the outfielders in right center field. Hamilton gets to it, but not before one run scores. Here comes another. Dickerson is in there safely, and it's a 2-run double for David Adams. The East takes a 6-4 lead. Just dropped that one in the right place in right center field. Liriano and Hamilton neither could get to it.
Yeah, I'm not sure either one could get to it. Good read by Dickerson there, knowing that it was going to split the outfielders, to be able to score from first base on a ball that does not get to the wall.
So a meeting on the mound as the pitching coach Lance Painter comes out to try to settle down Tonkin, maybe give a little time to the reliever who's warming up for the East squad down the right field line. It's C.J. Riefhauser, member of the Rays organization, getting loose, as Jonathan Scope will come in to hit. Our first look at the Baltimore Orioles prospect here in the bottom half of the 5th inning, as he pinch hits for Chris Owings. He lines it to short, and Nick Ahmed, I don't know if it knuckled toward him or not, but Adams, who went back to second base, hustles into third. He's there safely, and the East has runners on the corners here. Still nobody out in the 5th inning.
Well, I think you're right, Paul. Sometimes when you hit a ball perfectly square, it'll act funny. It looked like Ahmed had this thing lined up until right at the end. Whoop! Wow, just loses it.
It's an E6. And I don't know if we have that camera set up that Fox had in the NLCS. We've been talking a lot about Hunter Pence so far tonight, but when his bat broke and he hit the ball 3 times, it kind of played tricks on the St. Louis Cardinals, led to a big inning for the Giants. They eventually went on to win the pennant. We don't have the phantom camera, I'm being told. I didn't think we did. We'll try to locate it in the break, as there's a pitching change in Arizona. And welcome back as the Arizona Fall League celebrates its 20th year. We've seen some big-time stars spend some time here in Arizona in late October and early November. Josh Hamilton, MVP. Matt Kemp. Ryan Braun, an MVP as well. He was here in 2006. And, of course, Mike Trout was here last year. He's in the mix for an AL MVP. By many accounts, the runaway favorite for the Rookie of the Year. We'll take a look at a few of the top 20 all-time AFL players. Hamilton, Kemp, Braun, and Trout. One MVP, a 2-time All-Star, and a second-place finish for an MVP for Kemp. And, of course, in 2011, Ryan Braun won the NL MVP. And we'll see what awards Mike Trout takes home in 2012. Brian Goodwin will hit and face C.J. Riefenhauser. 32 games, made 15 starts in the minors, 8-9 with a 4.55 ERA and 114 2/3 innings at a couple of levels in 2012. Runners on first and third, still nobody out here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. 3 runs have come across for the East, and they have taken a 2-run lead. There's David Adams at third. He had a 2 RBI double and moved over on an E6. Goodwin takes outside, the count now 2-1. Goodwin led off the bottom half of the 1st inning with a home run. He's since struck out and flew out to center field. A terrific play by Billy Hamilton to track it down in left center field. Hit in the air on the line, and Hamilton will not not get to this one. It short hops the wall. Adams will score easily. Scope is around third, and he is held up there. So it's a double for Brian Goodwin. Another run comes home, the 4th run of the inning, and it's 7-4 East. Goodwin's hit the ball hard tonight.
I really like his approach to the plate. It's very quiet there. Not a lot of action with his hands. Not a lot with the feet either. And again, that quick swing, anything on the inside half of the plate, he has no trouble getting on top of and drives this ball a long way.
And Hamilton's got wheels. Was not getting to that one.
See his motion there of Riefenhauser. I mean, he can be a lefty specialist in the big leagues. He's got that unusual arm swing where he'll take the ball behind his back, a la Tim Lincecum. Lincecum, when he's on, gets the ball behind his back.
Jock Peterson, with his first at bat of the night, came in as a pinch runner earlier in the ball game. Swings through that one, and the count is 0-1.
I actually think that I like that. I like it when the ball never stops in an arm swing. Some guys get the ball back so quickly they have to stop and let their body catch up.
Hit in the air, left field. Moving back is Yelich, makes the catch. Tagging from third is Scope. Here comes the throw. It's a little bit late. Tack on another run. It's 8-4. And moving up to third is Goodwin.
Yeah, what did you call this at the top? Finishing school?
Yes.
Well, Yelich will figure that out. He's got no play at the plate on this ball. There's no reason to allow the runner from second to advance to third on a fly ball to medium depth left field, but ball straight out of his hand was clearly not going to be able to get to third base and be cut off. He's trying to throw somebody out at home. He has no shot right here. The ball's high enough so that the runner on second can read it easily and walk into third base.
It's going to bring up a pinch hitter, and it's Ricky Oropesa from the San Francisco Giants organization, their number 15 prospect, according to Jonathan Mayo from MLB.com. Goodwin off a third, his second extra base hit coming earlier in the inning, and Oropesa delivers an RBI through the right side to score Goodwin and make it a 9-4 lead. Still one out here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. The East has pushed 6 runs across already to really break this game open.
Really getting some good swings. Hitters love it when they see that infield come in. And they love it when you get an 89-mile-an-hour fastball over the middle of the plate, which he gets right here. You're in a position where you're already thinking aggressive with the infield in. First pitch swing right over the middle. I'm not going to let that one go by. You see Castellanos jump at first pitch as well.
So Castellanos, the DH tonight, one of the, well, I was going to say one of the few starters that are still in the ball game, but actually the East hasn't made many changes after they've had themselves a big inning. We'll see if they make some changes for the top half of the 6th, but Castellanos has had himself a good night so far. 2 for 3, a couple of singles. The 20-year-old out of the Tigers organization calls the Mesa Solar Sox his club when he's out here in the Arizona Fall League for 2012. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Tap foul wide of third.
We talked about a lot of scouts look at him, potential batting champion in the big leagues, and he's already shown us he's taking a slider outside, taking it to right field for a hit. We've seen the fastball in on his hands where he pulled his hands in and pulled it to left field. So he's due for a line drive up the middle right here with 2 strikes. Might as well use all 3 fields.
Almost. Grounds to third. Almanzar to second. Over to first. And it's a double play to get out of the inning. But 6 runs come across for the East. And they have taken a 9-4 lead as we go to the top half of the 6th inning at Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. Welcome back to Salt River Fields at Talking Stick here in Scottsdale, Arizona, as the Arizona Fall League celebrates its 20th year. And we celebrate the Rising Stars game. It's been the East as of late, pushing across 6 runs in the home half of the 5th inning. So they go to the top of the 6th with a 9-4 lead. And stepping to the dish will be Colton Wong to lead things off here in the top of the 6th inning. And it took 5 full innings, but my scorecard is a disaster. And coming in now is Mike Belfiore, member of the Baltimore Orioles organization. 5-1, 2.71 ERA, 66 in the 3rd innings pitched at a couple of levels of the minor leagues, and he delivers high to the Cardinals prospect Colton Wong.
Yeah, 3 years ago, the Diamondbacks had 5 of the first 45 picks in the draft. Belfiore was one of those. We saw earlier Chris Owings, a shortstop, also one of those 5.
Ground ball to short. It's Scope over to first for out number 1.
Was traded in May to the Baltimore organization for Josh Bell, the infielder, third baseman.
So he gets a quick out, and now he'll face tonight's DH, Bryce Brentz, member of the Red Sox organization. More changes as Monsalve will catch. Oropesa is at first. Anthony Rendon is at third. Scope, who you just saw, is at short. He came in the top half, the bottom half of the inning. He gets more action here. Long throw, and he gets Brentz by a step at first for out number 2. And George Springer is out in right field. So 2 quick outs here in the 6th for Belfiore. And it looks like those are going to be the only outs he gets, as Matt Williams is quick to take him out. And as we talked about before, there's going to be an awful lot of pitching changes. It'll become a little bit more clear cut if this turns into a blowout. And at 9-4, it's not exactly a blowout, but we might be getting there. Victor Black coming in. Top of the 6th continues after the break. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent. Paul Severino and Tom Verducci back here, Salt River Fields at Talking Stick, the Arizona Fall League Rising Stars game. And Victor Black is the new pitcher for the East squad as he'll face Nick Ahmed, prospect in the Braves organization, and Ahmed gets his first look at the dish tonight. Came in as a pinch runner earlier in the ball game.
Well, Vic Black, he's got 8th inning and possibly 9th inning written all over him. He's got a plus fastball, very aggressive with it, also good slider. He likes to go after hitters, no doubt about that. Straight over the top, hard and harder is basically what he's going to show hitters.
96 miles an hour with his first pitch on the inside corner, and the count is 1-0. 13 saves and a 1.65 ERA in 60 innings. 12.8 strikeouts per 9 at Double-A Altoona in 2012. Delivers high, 95 miles an hour on the gun upstairs. It's 2-0. And just as you said, Tom, he projects as a late inning reliever.
He's got the attitude to go with the stuff. As we're seeing right here, though, sometimes command is an issue. And we saw earlier where Jared Cozart had that little action early in his delivery. They take the ball out of the glove, put it back in, and then take it back. Victor Black's got the same kind of action there. Watch the ball come out of the glove and tap again before he delivers.
Upstairs for ball 4, so it's a walk to Ahmed, a 2-out walk to Ahmed, as it's going to be Christian Yelich coming in as he replaces Brian Fletcher. Of course, when we show you those scouting reports, it's a combination of our friends John Manuel at Baseball America and a guy who was just up in the booth a few innings ago, Jonathan Mayo from MLB.com. So our thanks to them for providing us with some extra scouting reports for the ball players here in the Arizona Fall League. Yelich, again, as we talked about before, is a big-time prospect. You see why. Minor league, hit .329 at rookie in Class A, 12 homers, a .402 on base percentage. You certainly take that. He's the #1 prospect in the Marlins organization, and he takes ball 2.
Like the job by Monsalve back there. Victor Black missing with the fastball, went to the first pitch breaking ball, try to get a different feel on the ball, different arm slot, and after that second ball right there, just a couple of steps out to the mound, so just relax, take a deep breath. Like to see your catcher take command of a pitcher, especially when he's struggling.
And a ground ball to second base. It'll be Adams over to first for out number 3, and Yelich is retired. So we are through 5.5 here at Salt River Fields at Talking Stick, and it's a 9-4 lead for the East. Coming next March, witness our national pastime on a global stage, the 2013 World Baseball Classic. Look for exclusive games and coverage coming in March only on MLB Network. Paul Severino and Tom Verducci back here. Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. I didn't think it got chilly in the desert. It does sometimes.
It's all relative.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not calling this chilly.
Yeah. So a couple of changes here as Anthony Rendon will step into the box and face James Simmons here to lead off the bottom half of the 6th inning. A closer look at Simmons. 2 levels of the minor leagues in 2012, 3-2 with an ERA just south of 3. Rendon hits this one in the air, left field, not deep, and Yelich makes the catch, 1 away.
Yes, Simmons was a guy really when drafted, looked like that prototypical first-round college starter you think is going to come quickly. He's had some injuries. He's not a young anymore, really. He's 26 years old. Now profiles probably more back end of the rotation or a bullpen guy. Certainly has a nice repertoire of pitches. You see there, 4-seam, 2-seam, cutter and change. Throws them all for strikes.
This is Alex Monsalve, his first at bat, first pitch swing, ground ball to short, and it's Ahmed over to first. McGinnis on the other side. McGinnis is playing first base now as he took over for Hunter Morris, and there are 2 outs here in the 6th. So George Springer will come to the dish as he's hitting now for Casey Dickerson. And he takes a ball at 89 miles an hour. 302, 24 home runs and 87 RBIs, also 32 steals at 2 levels of the minor leagues for George Springer, a UConn product, University of Connecticut, and a Connecticut guy as well. Grew up in New Britain and went to Avon Old Farms.
Did you watch this guy take batting practice today?
I did.
I'll tell you about one ball that he hit. Caught everybody's attention. There's a batter's eye in center field with different tiers of, I don't know, some kind of shrubbery out there.
We're in the desert. Got to be cacti.
Got to be. You can't go wrong by guessing that. You see those different tiers? He hit one up on the 3rd tier of that batter's eye. That was the kind of shot that everybody stopped and just went, wow. He's got that kind of power. He's a great athlete. The comparisons range from Torrey Hunter, Matt Kemp. He's an interesting power guy in that he really hits from a very much of an upright stance. I think in time he'll develop, use more of the lower half, but looked like he was trying to go back up into the shrubbery right there.
He swings and misses, and that'll do it for the 6th. Much quieter than the 5th was when the East scored 6 runs, nothing across in the 6th, 9-4 as we go to the 7th. This Arizona Fall League telecast is brought to you by Bowman Baseball Cards. Get in on the ground floor and uncover greatness. Bowman, who's next? Paul Severino and Tom Verducci. We know that the next pitcher is Santos Rodriguez, member of the White Sox organization. 8 saves, a .290 ERA, 71 in the 3rd innings pitched, and a whip of 105 walks and hits per innings pitched. That at 2 levels of the minor leagues, and he of course will be tested early on as Billy Hamilton will lead things off here in the top half of the 7th inning, with the East leading this one 9-4. And for the first time tonight, if memory serves correctly, we'll see Hamilton from the right side of the plate. 1 for 2, 2 runs scored, 2 stolen bases. They both came in the 1st inning in a walk. He laid down a bunt his last time, ruled a single, but John Singleton threw it into shallow right field. Hamilton ended up at 3rd. He tries to bunt again, won't get this one down. Anthony Rendon comes in to put it away for out number 1.
He's fast even going back into the dugout.
Wow. So 1 pitch, and Matt Williams comes out. Santos Rodriguez, good job.
That's called doing your job quickly right there.
That's it. And if he takes a shower, it's a waste of water, because 1 pitch and he's done.
How about if he ices his arm after that? It's a waste of ice.
That's right. You're absolutely right. So Matt Williams will make a pitching change as he goes to the bullpen here in the top of the 7th inning. We'll take a break here on MLB Network. Welcome back. That's Billy Hamilton, who just popped out a bunt, so he was retired. And Tom, he's a guy who knows one speed.
That's fast. Watch this. Hustling down the line, but as soon as the ball's caught, doesn't really break stride, makes a right turn into the dugout. I think he got back there in time to see the ball thrown around the infield.
My goodness, 155 steals during the minor league season.
And by the way, Paul, he does do everything fast. They say the only thing he does faster than run is talk.
Yes.
And you can vouch for that.
I can. I did speak to him. I had to confirm a story, which I did, and it does turn out to be true as we take a look at Cody Woods, who's in this ball game right now, facing Mike Zunino. So the first action for both of these guys, although Zunino came in on defense earlier. I'll get back to Hamilton because it's just a story about a sandwich. We've got prospects here. We should talk about them first. We can save the entertaining stories for later as Zunino takes outside, the number 4 prospect in the Mariners organization. And this guy was drafted just a few months ago. 3rd overall pick. Saw what he did, see what he's done at 44 games, 360 average and 13 home runs in the minor leagues. So he's had himself a long season with the baseball season with the Florida Gators, and then drafted in June, and then boom, away we go.
9 straight months of competitive baseball. But I'll tell you what, we talked about Tommy Joseph and the leadership he brings to the catching position. That definitely applies to Mike Zunino. A lot of people think that he will come as quickly as anybody in this game.
Baseball America College Player of the Year in 2012 and got more hardware. 2012 Golden Spikes winner for the top amateur baseball player in the country. Again, 3rd overall pick in June with the Mariners, a team that well represented here in this Rising Stars game. Scope at short. And picked at first by Oropesa for the 2nd out of the inning. So now that we've got a moment, the sandwich. So when Billy Hamilton was promoted to Pensacola, the ballpark decided that they were going to make a sandwich with his name involved. So they call it the Billy Ham and Cheese. Your mouth will water. Ready? 9 pieces of ham, 6 pieces of cheese. Yes.
And they don't sell it after the 2nd inning because it takes that long to actually eat it.
That's right. Get on board during batting practice or you got no shot. But I asked him about that. I said that's a pretty good honor. I said some guys get awards named after them. Cy Young, for example, but not a sandwich.
Well, I'd like to know how you would rank these awards. You talk about having an award named after you, having a bobblehead,
yes,
or having a sandwich.
Yes. It's a base hit up the middle for Reimer Liriano. So that's his 3rd hit of the night. 3 for 4, 2 doubles, and that single. So Liriano showing why we talked about him so much, showing off those skills, is his 3rd hit of the night. There are 3 starters left in the ball game for the West: Billy Hamilton, Liriano, and Bryce Brents, the DH.
You know, I know the score doesn't exactly dictate it here, but I'd like to see Liriano run. Guy with 98 stolen bases in the last 2 years. And you look at him, 6 feet, 210 pounds. You figure he's a corner player, power guy, doesn't run that much. Not the case at all. He can fly.
And Chris McGinnis can hit for some power. 23 home runs, 77 RBIs in the minors this season. Taps that one foul and evens up the count at 1-1. So he's in his first at bat, replacing Hunter Morris, who was the first baseman to start. And McGinnis, Boston's number 13 pick in 2009 out of the Citadel, is actually part of the trade that sent Jared Saltalamacchia from the Rangers to the Red Sox. So drafted by the Red Sox, but as you can see, wearing a Rangers uniform here tonight. 1-1 pitch. Hit in the air, center field. Going back is Goodwin. At the track, makes the catch for out number 3. So that'll do it. In the top half of the 7th inning will stretch here at Salt River Fields at Talking Stick 9-4 East. And welcome back to Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. Paul Severino, Tom Verducci. Another look at Billy Hamilton, who certainly put his speed on display tonight, and he's done so in 2012. About 81% stolen base percentage, so he was successful an awful lot. 155 steals in 132 games. Kind of reminds you of Vince Coleman. So certainly a throwback, Tom.
Oh, without question. I think it's, as we talked about, on a scouting scale of 20 to 80, that's 80 speed. That's game-changing speed. Now, he will have to make adjustments as he gets up the ladder, certainly to the major leagues. Again, we talked about he really likes to get his feet moving when taking lead at first base. That will stop when he gets to the major leagues. He'll have to read pitchers. And the game now, the pitchers and teams defend the running game so well. It's all part of the learning process as well. Pure speed, though. It's, boy, we've seen it on defense. We've seen it on bunts that he's put down. We've seen it on stolen bases. Branch Rickey go all the way back to his famous line about speed. It never goes into slumps.
No, not at all. And we mentioned it before, you can't steal first, but he does a pretty good job of trying his hardest. There's a new pitcher in the game for the West squad, and it's Curtis Parch, the East squad rather. It's Curtis Parch, 7-4 with a 4.26 ERA and 82 in the 3rd innings pitched, 79 strikeouts and 36 walks. At a couple of levels of the minor leagues in 2012. As you can see, a member of the Cincinnati Reds organization. And he'll face David Adams to lead things off in the home half of the 7th inning.
And Parch is one of those guys who wound up in the bullpen sort of the old-fashioned way. Really came through the minor leagues as a starting pitcher. He turns 26 next year and has almost 700 innings in minor league ball. But this past season, switched to the bullpen and his stuff really played up. He's got a power arm, power body, 6'5". His strikeout rate went up this year, and looks like that's where his future can be, as a power reliever out of the bullpen.
Drafted by the Giants in 2005, but didn't sign. 26th pick for the Reds in 2007. Going 96 miles an hour as that one's fouled off. Count 0-2. Take a look at the scouting report. Just saw him throw 96, and again, that's where it's. What exactly is boring action?
I think you just saw it right there. Right-handed hitters, that ball will ride in. Shows you the breaking ball, good power breaking ball down and away. But yeah, that fastball on the arm side will run into a right-handed hitter.
So that type of boring, not like falling asleep boring. Because I'll be honest, that's the first thing I thought of.
Really, you did?
Yeah. Like almost like
a fastball that puts hitters to sleep.
Simple delivery, yes, or something like that. So boring in on the righty. Okay, great. Where's Jonathan Mayo to correct me?
Well, I'll tell you, nothing boring about that breaking ball right there.
Perfect segue.
I mean, he's shown you here. That's late inning stuff he's shown you. 96, boring fastball. Back that up with, look at this breaking ball right here. It disappears to the right-handed hitter.
I think it's pretty exciting, but nobody asked me. Jonathan Scope will step in. Number 3 prospect in the Orioles organization. And here's an interesting case. We see him playing short now. 21 years old, signed as an amateur free agent in August of 2008. He's playing short in this ball game now. They have a very good prospect who actually made a name for himself at the big league level in 2012, and Manny Machado, who played third but is a shortstop. So again, another one of those situations, as you look at the scouting report, one of those situations where might he fit at the major league level?
I think that's a great point, Paul. We talked to Dusty Wathan, the manager, about this, and that a lot of guys, in fact probably most guys, wind up getting to the major leagues at a different position, you know, with the exception obviously of pitchers and catchers. But really, you need to go where there's an opportunity to play. And I think Scope has showed that he's the kind of guy, athletic guy, who can play multiple positions. He's already shown the arm strength at shortstop. He's got a good quiet approach at the plate. He really spreads out at the plate. Wide stance, really not much of a stride or a step at all. See him really spread out in the batter's box. A little bit of the Albert Pujols look to him.
Sends this one in the air, right center field. Moving over is Hamilton, but making the catch is Liriano for out number 2. We got a quick look at Dusty Wathen in the dugout. Had a chance to spend some time with him. And we're going to get a good look at him right now as he's going to make a pitching change. So that's going to be it for Parch. He gets a couple of outs here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. That's the thing with these managers. They like this. It's extra baseball, it's extra work and stuff like that. But good to spend some time with these youngsters. We'll see more of them after the break. Hey, baseball fans, head over to MLB.com/auction to bid on some amazing game-used jerseys from the rising stars you're watching right now. Top prospects like John Singleton, Nick Castellanos, Mike Zunino, Billy Hamilton, and many more are included. It's happening now at MLB.com/auction. Back here, Paul Severino and Tom Verducci, Salt River Fields and Talking Stick in Scottsdale, Arizona, the 2012 Arizona Fall League Rising Stars game. As the Arizona Fall League celebrates its 20th year, the East has a 9-4 lead. Single runs for the East in the bottom of the 1st, 2nd, and 4th before they really blew things open in the bottom of the 5th, pushing 6 runs across. And one guy who's had a good night is in the box right now, Brian Goodwin, a home run. Almost had more extra bases in his 3rd at bat and then did have the double in his last at bat. So a home run and a double to go along with a strikeout and a flyout. And he'll face the new pitcher, and it's Grant Dayton. 4-6, 2.47 ERA, 73 innings, 90 strikeouts compared to 22 walks at 2 levels of the minor leagues in 2012. The number 19 prospect in the Marlins organization, according to Jonathan Mayo of MLB.com. And again, speaking of Jonathan Mayo, thanks to him and John Manuel from Baseball America providing us the extra scouting reports that we've had here tonight to try to pass along to you. Some of these prospects you may know something about on your favorite team, or who knows. A lot of times these guys will get moved around if they haven't already, and maybe they're not in your organization now, but they will be eventually.
See the scouting report on Dayton. He was a starter at Auburn. Looks like he's transitioning to the bullpen, especially effective against left-handers. As we saw with Santos Rodriguez, another left-handed relief specialist, I like it when these lefties pitch from the first base side of the rubber. I think it creates more of an angle for them, especially we talked about the game is so much matchup, and you're left on left and you're pitching from that first base side of the rubber. That's a tough look for a left-handed hitter. The ball moving away from you all the time. In other words, even when he's throwing a fastball, because of the angle, and especially if you drop down a little bit, the pitch has some angle on it. Pitching is about changing speeds, but it's also about creating angles. We talk about angles on the plane moving down, sometimes the plane moving away, or the angle of the arm to a left-handed batter. You see right there.
He gets Goodwin. Goodwin's 2nd strikeout of the night, and that'll do it in the home half of the 7th. 9-4 the score. East on top as we head to the 8th. To get your authentic World Series championship merchandise, including caps, t-shirts, jerseys, sweatshirts, memorabilia, and more at sfgiants.com shop. Of course, a big congratulations to the San Francisco Giants, making quick work of the Detroit Tigers in the World Series, a 4-game sweep, their 2nd World Series championship in 3 years. So they have an awful lot of fun at those City Hall celebrations, I tell you. Wow. Whether it's Aubrey Huff and his undergarments or seeds flying around, whatever the case is, they have a lot of fun. Mark Montgomery's going to try to have some fun. 7-2 record and a 1.54 ERA in the minor leagues so far in 2012, or that was in the minor leagues, as he'll get to face Michael Almanzar. So here we go. Yankees, Red Sox, even in the Rising Stars game.
Well, you see right there the scouting report, killer slider. There it is right there. I mean, that I talked to Austin Romines, obviously caught Montgomery a lot. He said once you get to 2 strikes, or even before that, but especially at 2 strikes, you almost have no chance against this wipeout slider. You saw the highlight there of Sergio Romo. I believe has one of the best sliders in all of baseball. Throws it certainly as much as anybody in baseball. Well, the slider is that to Mark Montgomery. It's his ticket to the big leagues. There's been some comparisons to David Robertson, the Yankees' 8th inning guy. Robertson really more of a breaking ball, fastball pitcher, but the slider here for Montgomery is really, I think, the ticket to the big leagues, and quickly.
Did Almanzar check his swing? No, he did not. So that's a strikeout for the first out here at the top half of the 8th inning. So Almanzar is retired, and now we'll get a chance to see Colton Wong. And you may have seen it quickly. Montgomery, the number 14 prospect in the Yankees organization. Another look.
I mean, here it is. To a right-handed hitter, it looks like a fastball for the first 50 feet, and all of a sudden it disappears. I guarantee you he gets a lot of those check swings on right-handed hitters with 2 strikes.
That's in there for a strike to Wong, who grounded out in his only at bat to this point. 287, 9 homers, 52 RBIs at Double-A Springfield. Also had 21 steals. Here comes the 0-1.
I mean, his career strikeout rate is just ridiculous. 14.6 per 9.
Wow.
And, you know, he does not walk a lot of batters. We saw earlier the 99 punch-outs this year and only 22 walks.
1-1 to Wong is inside. Actually, tonight, the attendance here, 5,713. That breaks the record, which was 47-49, set in the 2010 Rising Stars game. So they're coming out en masse to check out the stars of tomorrow here in the Arizona Fall League. And again, we were here last year, loaded star power at the top with guys like Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. And this year, again, maybe not that 1-2 punch of a Trout and Harper, but certainly depth, as that one is hit on the ground off the bat of Wong and off the arm of Oropesa at first. And he'll be on first with what will probably be an E3.
I'd agree with you on this one. You know, a lot of field playing defense, the infield defense, is picking the right hop and making sure you don't get one of those in-between hops. And that's exactly what happened right there.
It is, in fact, an E3, so the second error of the night for the East squad. And that'll bring up Bryce Brents. DH. His 4th plate appearance. A walk, a strikeout, and a groundout. Brents, as we mentioned before, the number 4 prospect in the Red Sox organization. A compensation pick back in 2010 out of Middle Tennessee State. Swings through that one, and the count is 0-2.
Well, slider time. Watch his hands here. He's a very handsy hitter. Reminds me of the Anthony Rendon on the other team, where he's got a lot going on, but very fast hands. Watch the wrist action, and he kind of flips the bat at the ball. You see, would have got me too. Stuck with the heater.
He strikes out for the second time tonight, so Brents is 0 for 3, and that'll bring up Nick Ahmed.
But I think both with Brents and Rendon, who are great hitters, I think over time they can calm that hand action, that wrist action just a little bit.
So
look at the scouting report on Oropesa.
Said good arm strength, but poor feet at first base, and he didn't really get in front of the ball hit by Colton Wong a few moments ago, which led to the E3. So you're saying these scouts know what they're talking about?
Well, yeah, there's some talk that maybe he could play on the left side of the infield at third base, but, you know, clearly the bat is his ticket to the big leagues. He's got big-time power.
Oropesa sporting that Giants uniform. And he's the number 15 prospect in their organization as Ahmed takes a strike, and the count now 1-2. For Ahmed, 269, 46 extra base hits, 84 runs scored, and 40 steals. Member of the Braves organization. 10th ranked prospect in their system.
2-strike slider.
He gets him for the 3rd strikeout of the inning. Throw an error in there, but he strikes out the side, and we'll go to the bottom half of the 8th inning here in Scottsdale. Welcome back as the Arizona Fall League celebrates its 20th year. We look back at some of the big names who've passed through the desert in the fall. Mike Piazza doing some damage here in the Fall League in the early 90s before becoming arguably the greatest hitting catcher of all time. Roy Halladay was here in 1998. You Cy Young's to his credit. No hitter in the postseason in a perfect game. And Steven Strasburg just getting his career going. Big part of the reason why the Washington Nationals won the National League East in 2012. You see what these guys did here in the Arizona Fall League. Mike Piazza was a 12-time All-Star at the big league level, 2-time Cy Young winner for Roy Halladay, and 21-10, 2.94 ERA in 3 seasons for Steven Strasburg. Paul Severino and Tom Verducci back with you here. Salt River Fields at Talking Stick as we move to the home half of the 8th inning. The East has a 9-4 lead, and Kevin Quackenbush comes in, 27 saves, an ERA under 1 in 57 2/3 innings pitched, and almost 11 strikeouts per 9 innings. Member of the Padres organization reduces the ground ball to the left side. Almanzar over to first for out number 1, and Jock Peterson is retired quickly.
Quackenbush is a guy, he turns 24 later this month. Once again, a guy with strikeout stuff, 12.7 strikeouts per 9. See that second note there, short arm delivery. Again, that creates deception. Funky delivery, plays well out of the bullpen. Not so much of a starting role, but the fewer times you get a chance to see that kind of delivery, the more effective it is.
A strike there to Ricky Oropesa. Good look at Quackenbush, broad shoulders as we look at his delivery.
Watch the arm swing, it goes down, comes right back up. Just a little bit of a hitch there in the delivery.
And Oropesa takes a breaking ball in the inside corner, and the count now 0-2. And Quackenbush, you talk about being effective, he certainly was. Rated the best reliever in the California League this past year. Padres number 8 pick out of South Florida in 2011. The 0-2 hit in the air the other way. A couple steps back is Yelich to make the catch for out number 2. That'll bring up Nick Castellanos. Get up early for this. Hot stove, by the way, 9 a.m. That's going to be good stuff.
6 a.m. West Coast time.
6 a.m. West Coast. I'm on the West Coast. I don't even think that way. I can't even think that way. 9's so early for me. Can't even imagine 6 existing. Although I've had some nights going home after quick pitch and it's 6 a.m. real quick. Anyway, enough about me. Another pitching change here in the bottom of the 8th inning with the East leading 9-4. Welcome back to Salt River Fields and Talking Stick. You take a look at what the Arizona Fall League has done over the years. Again, celebrating its 20th year. 184 former AFL participants have earned an MLB All-Star selection since the inaugural season in 1992. 10 have been named the MVP. 3 have won the Cy Young. And just about 60% of the players assigned to the Arizona Fall League reached the majors, over 2,100 since this started 20 years ago. And a big thanks to the executive director, Steve Cobb, who's been here basically from the start. He's certainly been a big help to us the last few years being out here. A nice guy and a Cal Ripken Jr. look-alike. Not that that means anything, but Johnny Helwig is the new pitcher, 7-11 on the season, and he faces Nick Castellanos here with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th inning. And the 3.29 ERA, 139 2/3 innings pitched, 105 strikeouts with the Angels and the Brewers organization. Part of the Zach Greinke deal over the summer. Delivers a strike on the breaking ball, 1-2.
It's obviously a lot to like right there. Big arm, 6'9". You can get it up there at 96, 97. It just featured the breaking ball right there. A lot of tall guys sometimes get out of his delivery.
Castellanos in the air, right field. Moving back is Liriano to put it away for out number 3 in the 8th. So Helwig, the last player to be used on the roster, comes in, gets the job done. We'll go to the 9th. 9-4 East on top. Well, welcome back. Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. There he is, Steve Cobb, the executive director of the Arizona Fall League. A very nice individual, and as I mentioned before, a Cal Ripken Jr. lookalike. And he's in the shadows right now, but you got to take my word for it. Tom, you saw him.
It's a good scouting report you just gave.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Got a future as a scout.
Yeah, right. With my sandwich stories and bobblehead stories. You were informed I wasn't bringing much to the table tonight, so I just want to get that out there. So we move to the top of the 9th inning. Trey Haley comes in. His minor league stats in 2012, 4-1, 2.33 ERA in 38 2/3 innings, 11.4 strikeouts per 9, part of the Cleveland Indians organization. And he'll face Kristen Yelich, Billy Hamilton, and Mike Zunino in the top half of the 9th inning. The West will need a rally, a big one. They're down 9-4. And going off scouting reports and what we've seen so far tonight, they've got the right bats coming to the plate here to start things in the 9th. As we look at the scouting report here for Trey Haley.
Yeah, you can see he's got a lot going on with that delivery. Max effort guy with plus velocity. Command definitely an issue. Career 6.5 walks per 9 innings, but still young enough to command and harness that heat that he does have. He's definitely a strikeout weapon at the back end of the bullpen.
Number 16 prospect in the Indians organization, that in the spring of 2012. He was their second pick in 2008 out of high school. He had committed to Rice, but decided to sign with a big league club instead, a big league franchise. Yelich, hard hit ball through the left side, past the dive of Scope for a leadoff single here in the 9th inning. So we talked a lot about Yelich being maybe one of those guys that in the coming years we'll hear an awful lot about at the big league level. His first at bat was a ground ball to second base, but there's a base hit to lead it off in the 9th.
Yeah, I think he naturally hits the ball the other way very well. You know, still has not gotten above A ball, still a very young player, but just has that look about him as a pure hitter.
That brings up Billy Hamilton. Outside for a ball. So Hamilton did not disappoint. His first at bat, drew a walk, stole second, delayed steal to take third, and then he ended up scoring on the Reimer Liriano double. But since then, it's basically been all east. Clearly Hamilton has some supporters in the crowd.
Well, this is a good chance here. We've seen him already try to drop 2 bunts. One he got down for a hit, the other one popped up. But against the guy with plus velocity, Billy Hamilton, we talked about this. He's got some pop. You know, if he gets a pitch to hit here, it's in a bat here with a guy on first base where he can drive something. He's not just a slap guy, ground ball guy. In fact, I think over time he probably needs to cut down the strikeouts a little more, but he's more than just a punch and Judy hitter. He's got some pop.
Been trying to work on it a little bit more here in the Fall League. He takes a strike in the count, now 3-1. And again, we've seen him an awful lot in the left-handed hitter's batter's box tonight, but he's a natural right-handed hitter and actually didn't start switch hitting until 2009. He was just kind of hanging out in the batting cage on the left side of the plate, and they said, why don't you give it a shot? So far it's kind of worked out. He draws a walk, exactly what you don't want to do. However, Yelich at second base kind of provides a little bit of a roadblock for Hamilton. If he could steal around the lead runner, I bet he'd try.
Well, certainly any ball in the gap, be fun to watch him run.
And I got a chance to talk to him before the game just to confirm some stories about, did you really score on a sacrifice fly to the second baseman? He said, yep. I said, did you really score on a ground ball back to the pitcher from second base? He said, yep. I said, when are you going to score from first on a pass ball? He said, you know what? I'm going to start that. I'm going to try. I'm going to step up my game a little bit.
And you've got to explain scoring from second base on a ground ball back to the pitcher.
I mean,
I'm assuming he's running on the pitch, stealing third base.
Yep, and then the pitcher
and never stops.
Doesn't look at him, and then he's that quick. I mean, it's unbelievable. When I first saw that, I was like, there's no way. There's no way. Zunino ground ball to third. They'll get Hamilton at second. No throw to first, so it'll be first and third here with one out. And that'll bring up Reimer Liriano. So you get Hamilton off the bases and you get a little bit closer to that 27th out. But it won't get much easier here with Reimer Liriano, and it won't be Trey Haley facing it. Matt Williams comes out to make a pitching change, and we know this much is true. This will be the last pitching change of the night. Heath Hembree, the last player to be used, so the managers do a good job of using their entire roster. We'll see Hembree after the break. Welcome back, and with all these pitching changes, we've got a good look at Matt Williams, and you get a good look at what he did in 17 major league seasons. A 268 hitter, 378 home runs. He won 4 Gold Gloves, and of course a member of the 2001 world champion Arizona Diamondbacks club. That's where he's coaching today, a part of Kirk Gibson's staff, and he's the skipper on the East squad for tonight. I'm sure as the years go on, he'll perhaps have his name in the mix for some big league managerial jobs as well.
I agree. I mean, we talk a lot about the prospects and the exposure this league gives them. Same for coaches and managers. Matt Williams is a guy taking advantage of the opportunity, and oh, by the way, he lives only 10 minutes away from here,
which works out very well. Heath Hembree, again, the last player to be used, 15 saves in 2012. He goes up and in to Reimer Liriano with men on first and third and one out here in the 9th inning. 9-4 the East leads. They were down 2-0 before they even got to the plate, but they were able to score single runs in the first, second, fourth before opening things up with 6 runs in the 5th as Liriano avoids the old high cheese chin music, if you will. Getting back to Hembree. Power arsenal to be a closer. That's what it says. 38 saves in his first full season. He led the minor leagues in 2011.
And that power you see there on the fastball, mostly a power sinker, generally, except for that wake-up call he gave Liriano, pitching down to the zone with the power fastball.
Liriano swings through the 2-0 fastball, and the count now 2-1.
Yeah, that's impressive right there. You know you've got a hitter in a fastball count, and you can throw a fastball by him. I know that radar gun says 90, but that tells you the life he has on the fastball.
Just misses. Low and away to Liriano. The count now 3-1. So Liriano had an RBI double in the first inning, another double in the 5th, and he singled in the 7th. So a 3-for-4 night for the San Diego Padres #1 prospect as he fouls that one back. The count now full 3-2. Is that his glove? Something hanging off? Is that just a... Yeah. Okay, just checking.
Deception. Anything for deception.
Not that I'm the glove police up here, but I just thought I saw something. I got a keen eye. I mean, I did nail Steve Cobb with Cal Ripken Jr. lookalike. I mean, I got that one pretty good. Liriano will take ball 4, so his night a 3-for-4 now with a walk to be added, and the bases are going to be loaded in a 5-run ball game. And all of a sudden, we got ourselves an interesting moment in this ball game with one out in the 9th inning, and Chris McGinnis coming to the plate.
But once again, you saw Monsalve go out to the mound just to settle down. Hembree looks like just overthrowing a little bit, trying to get this game over with quickly instead of pitch by pitch.
McGinnis got off to a good start here in the Arizona Fall League, named the Player of the Week earlier. See what he's done at Double-A Frisco. 268 average, 23 home runs, and 77 RBIs. He's with the Rangers, but he was drafted by the Red Sox, part of the Jared Saltalamacchia deal. He's up with the bases loaded, ahead in the count 1-0, and he's swinging, fouls it back. And the count even up at 1-1.
That's the kind of swing you should take. With the bases loaded, pitcher behind on the count, you know you're getting fastball. You just sell out.
One just low, and the count now 2-1.
And McGinnis does control the strike zone very well. See the scouting report here. Embry's going to need to come into the strike zone here during this at bat. I don't think he's going to chase much outside of the zone right here.
Comes 2-1 pitch, hit in the air, and coming in from right is Springer. They can't under it, make the catch, and retreating to third is Christian Yelich for out number 2. Just got under that one, or this could have been a very interesting game.
Yeah,
with
he
one
got
out
his
in the ninth.
pitch. That's right where he wants it. Just got underneath the ball.
Looks like he knew it. That'll bring up Michael Almanzar. One at bat for him so far tonight, and it was a strikeout. Bases loaded, 2 outs, top of the 9th inning. East 1 out away from winning the 2012 Arizona Fall League Rising Stars game. The numbers for Almanzar at Class A Salem, 300 with 12 home runs, 54 RBIs, and 36 two-base hits. So far in the AFL, batting .218 with 12 hits and 55 at bats. Ground and foul. And that's the thing, as we mentioned before, sometimes these guys who put together good seasons when they're playing 130 some odd games or whatever the case is in the minor leagues during the summer, they get here. It's great to get the exposure. It's great to work out at these types of facilities, but they're mentally drained as well as physically.
There's something to be said about learning how to get through the grind of a season. And it is a learning process. You know, the guys have been here, gone through it 2 or 3 times. We'll tell you that. You understand how when you need to cut back on your workouts, your pregame work.
The 1-2 pitch is outside, and the count now 2-2. So Hembree, sure he's not trying, but he's making this thing interesting here in the 9th inning. A 5-run lead. Just missed giving up a home run to Chris McGinnis. It was a fly out to right field, but McGinnis just got under it. And now a 2-2 pitch coming to Almanzar, with Colton Wong on deck. The 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and the East wins it 9-4. So congratulations to Matt Williams and his club. A 6-run 5th inning, helping them put 9 runs on the board. And just as we thought, up and down the scorecard here, a very impressive night for these youngsters.
And it seemed an appropriate ending, too, for a World Series that ended with a Giants closer getting a punch-out. Rising Stars game ends with a Giants closer getting a punch-out.
Works out well. 9-4, the East wins on the strength of 12 hits. The win goes to Zick, and Tonkin gets the loss. Again, that 6-run inning in the 5th inning, helping the East to the victory. So that's going to do it from Salt River Fields in Scottsdale, Arizona. Don't forget to tune in next Saturday for the Arizona Fall League Military Appreciation Game. These kids had an awful lot of fun here tonight with mascots and speed. We got to see Billy Hamilton, Liriano, and a long list of players who impressed us all night long. Certainly a lot of fun, and again, we'll be back next week in Surprise for the Military Appreciation Game. For Tom Verducci, Jonathan Mayo, I'm Paul Severino, our entire crew. We appreciate it. See you next time here on MLB Network.